You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
Welcome, everybody, to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary. Books, comic books, web comics, and manga. We're here to talk about it. As always, I am your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who's always at my side, host Sway.
Hello, and I'm always happy to accept a huge, heaping, heavy load of comics. And boy, it was a huge week.
I set a new spending record.
Oof.
I approached $200.
God damn.
And I didn't buy a trade. It was all new comics.
That was literally me last week, but that was only because of the dumb, bad idea that I had to do. So,
yeah. Variant covers will be the death of me. So,
yeah.
But they're worth it. Anyways, so we're going to get into our comics in a moment, but we have some brief news. The first two things isn't really news. I mean, it's kind of news, but I wanted to get into it. Before we started, we both sat and watched the new Shang-Chi trailer.
Yes.
Fuck yes. I'm so excited, dude. Like, it looks
than
so
3
good.
months away.
Yeah. Dude, this has been such a good year already for Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Between WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier and now Loki, and we got Black Widow coming. Like, oh my God, it's been such a great year already. So, I'm very excited for it. We got to see what appears to be Fin Fang Foom.
Yes.
And also the Abomination. So what do you think?
I mean, and going in that order, Bing Bing Boom part was scary because like just see a being like that and then underwater, regardless if it's like in a mindscape or if it's real, this shit would be scary as fuck. And then Abomination, the fact that they're actually getting him a little closer to adapting him right with like the fishy find ears. Mm-hmm. Yes, because I actually really fucking loved Abomination, and to that extent, the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. I think it's actually a very underrated movie for the MCU, and we don't talk about it enough. And yeah, it's the fact that we're getting Abomination to just make it more true than just Thunderbolt Ross as like the only linking thing to it. So yeah, give me more. I can't wait for this movie.
100% agreement. So I think it's getting more and more hype, and I think we're getting more and more connections to the rest of the MCU, which I think is going to be very interesting in the end.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to talk to you about is Loki. So we're 3 episodes in, and we got a very important confirmation as a Pride present.
Yes.
We have canon by Loki in the MCU, and I'm very, very, my heart is full, is what I'll say.
That was so sweet because, like, really, like the only thing that I had going for myself, being like, oh, like Loki is definitely to some extent bi, was Kieran Gillen's Young Avengers book, because like the whole cast was basically to some extent gay, but he was the only one because he was then still Kid Loki. They didn't really want to express that like a sexual orientation on Kid Loki, even though he was a deity. He was really the only one that wasn't really expressed that way, but he still knew because he was just a god. But now it's like it's all come full circle. Like everybody knows it's all mainstream in the MCU, so it's just so beautiful. Especially how he delivered that line with like the whole like it was both or whatever. It's like it was so beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome, and like you said, they didn't make a big deal out of it, but they did it in a way that it's not going to be questioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people were like, "Oh, you know, LaFoe in Beauty and the Beast is going to be gay," and it was like, is he? Like, did he say something? No. Like, they keep saying there's like these openly gay characters, but they don't actually do anything in these Disney movies. Yeah. And this is the first one where the person verbally confirmed, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
You know, and that's fucking great. So I loved it. Next, I want to talk about something we talked about last week. We do know that Nick Spencer is moving on from Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
And everybody's been talking who's going to take Nick Spencer's place. And there's a bunch of names being thrown around. You and me threw a few back and forth. But what we found out is it's going to be a creative team taking over, including some of our favorites, like Kelly Thompson and Saladin Ahmed, who's killing it with Miles Morales. So, also Dodie Ziegler, Patrick Gleason, and Zeb Wells. So,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm curious to see, like, are they all? So they're all going to take over Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So they're going to probably, because it comes out, 3 times a month. So it makes sense to not, work a writer and an artist like that. It'd be great to rotate it. Yes. I wonder how that's going to work as far as like working together. Like planning out. Plots. I believe it'll
be if it's anything like how it used to be pre-Dan Slott era when he was part of a very, very similar brain trust like this. It was him, Mark Waid, and Joe Kelly, and I forget who the other 2 were. But they'd basically rotate every 2 or pretty much every issue, and just kind of keep it fresh in that tone that way. So it always felt like someone's different take on it instead of just one long droll thing like Dan Slott's. But I just don't understand why it evolved the 5 people it went to him. But I think it's gonna go back to that, to like those last 2 iterations, last 2 iterations of volumes.
But imagine, that's a big group of people. Imagine sitting as a group and being like, all right, so you're going to do this in this issue, and then I'm going to do this in this issue, and then you're going to do this, and that's interesting, so I'm curious. I'm always very curious about like those cooperative groups of writing, like they with Empire. Anytime you do a crossover, people are writing different books. This is the same book even, so it's kind of like,
and sometimes it would work, sometimes it would not work, because sometimes like some of those books, like when it was on that rotating cast, some of the ones that in the end I thought would be some of the ones that kind of stuck to was like, oh, that one's kind of a stinker. Like those 2 issues of that little story didn't pan out for me. I look back and I was like, oh shit, those are the Mark Waid books. Like those would be the ones I would judge so harshly on. But it's like that rotating cast kind of like makes it work, because then sometimes the other writer that you've been shitting on tends to shine. Like in that case, New Ways to Die was actually really good from Dan Slott. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of keep this new fresh take on Spider-Man, especially if Nick Spencer decides to end it where he's alluding to, and it's something I've been really excited for it to come back.
Definitely. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is something a little controversial. Comic. What's the word?
Asshole.
Veteran. That's generous. Warren Ellis is making a return to comics. He's bringing back Fell, which is a book I've spoken about in the past as a book that I read and wasn't for me, but I did recommend for other people in our friendship circle, because they're more into that kind of extreme, like weird horror stuff that I don't really care for. So he's bringing Fell back, which first of all has been on hiatus since 2009?
Pretty much.
Which is crazy. So we're not going to get political on this show, although we do all the time. But for this one, I don't want to step into it. I am not a victim of anything Warren Ellis has done, so it's not my place to lay this stuff out. It's readily Googleable. If you guys want to go on there, you want to go on Twitter, you can see it there too. Needless to say, with all the creative minds out there, I'm so incredibly disappointed in Image for giving him a platform.
Oh, fuck yeah. That dude's an incredible asshole.
Yeah. And just, I don't know, man. Like, I will say this. When I picked up my books this week, I was looking at my Image books.
Yep.
And I was like, if I didn't love every one of these books,
if it wasn't for Stray Dogs ending, if it wasn't for my love and support towards the Bitterroot cast, I was considering skipping Image this week too.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, that's the only thing they'll understand, you know. I also want to point out that one of the editors of Vault, one of the two beautiful brothers that we love, posted a thing about it, and he talked about, imagine having this large market share and wasting it on someone like him. And I'm like, yeah. And you and me have heard a lot of buzz that, you know, they that Vault could be the new Image, you know, eventually. Yeah. And I hope they are, to be honest with
Honestly,
you. So.
fuck yeah.
Yeah, so that's all we'll say. So basically, when we review an Image book, just imagine I say "fuck Warren Ellis" before we start, every single time. So, yep. Okay, so we're gonna get straight into comics after that bummer of a start. Sorry about that. We're gonna get launched straight in, as we always do, not with a bang, but a boom. And we're gonna start with Boom Studios. We're gonna start with Something Is Killing the Children, number 17. Can I just say I fucking love this cover?
Dude, it's a great. Honestly, the portrait, yeah. I feel so bad for the house. If anything, it should have included the other lady.
Yeah, and it's just like
Adelaide.
It's like a different art style than they've ever really done. It's still Werther, I'm pretty sure, but it looks completely different than any other cover I've seen of theirs. So it really caught my eye. So, as I kind of hinted at, the creative team for Something Is Killing the Children. We got written by James Tynion. Is it Tynion? I always say Tynion.
It's Tynion.
Tynion. Gotcha. My bad, James.
Yeah,
James Tynion the Fourth. Drawn by Werther Deladera. Color by Mikel Muerto. And letter by Ann World Design. So we're getting more of the origin of our girl, Erica Slaughter. And this is part 2 of basically her introduction to the house. And I really dug this, actually. I got the impression immediately. I'm like, oh, these are all going to become really cool characters that I'm going to love. And I got not the same vibe, but I got the same feeling I get when I read Seven Secrets.
Ooh, yes.
Where all these side characters are starting to come into focus. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. So, yeah. Really, really cool. And I like the little bits we're learning about the lore of the house, too. So, what do you think?
Honestly, there was this book was a long time coming. I like that we actually took a moment where we could actually pause on a certain page, and not like you couldn't before, but you didn't really have that. Basically, I'm talking about this double spread page of them going the tour of all the places, and you actually get to see all the other masks. Like, we knew that there was different colors, but I think I wasn't looking at it that closely before. But all the colors have different teeth markings. They're not the same teeth smile, and I thought that was really cool. I'm wondering if there's a why to that, or just because instead of just being different with colors, might as well have the different fangs go up and down, or just come all the way down for I don't know. It's the way they look.
Or is it a mark of rank? Because you don't have teeth. If you don't have teeth, if you don't have a rank.
But once you're in, you're in, and these two have the same ones, and it's just it just means the blue ones have those same teeth, but they look more like the black mask. But they come, I don't know. They're also distinct. So yeah. And then the scene with Adelaide was just brutal. It was just almost haunting. Yeah. The way when she gets turned around and she just starts crying, and she's so old that she doesn't speak anymore. But you can just tell where it's just those are tears of regret. Why would they bring another child, or here comes another child off to die, and you can just see that there, and just and then Jessica's yeah, no, I get you, girl. I'll protect her. It's this book has just been a long time fucking coming, with just answering some questions, and not maybe not direct, maybe not all of them, but for sure some of the answers that you for sure are high up on your list are right here in this book, and this arc has just been really, really good.
All right, let's move on to the next Boom Studios book. It's a number 1, and it is called Good Luck. Yeah. Written by Matthew Ehrman, illustrated by Stefano Simeon, letter by Mike Fiorentino. I got this cover. I think you got a nice fancy cover.
Nice little pretty one.
Yeah. So I enjoyed this. I think it's a really cool, interesting concept. I like some of the really out there art, the real trippy art.
Yes.
And it's just fun. It's just a really cool idea. And I love the idea of luck being, a measurable thing, and how the world has changed because of it and stuff. So really, really dug this. What do you think?
Oh, no, it's a very... I hate to say it's more of a serious book, because I love Matthew Ehrman. Terminal Punks, this is with Terminal Punks, and with not so much with Witchblood, but to some extent it's he can kind of let loose, let rules just ride free, or just be silly with the dialogue. It doesn't really matter in that world, in that book. And Good Luck, it's actually more of let's actually approach this with a serious take or a serious case of powers, or how can we explore this type of environment. I thought it was a really, really great idea, super original. And then you bring up the art, where it's very trippy, and it's yeah, I was like, the other half of the reason why I was super excited for this book is, and just goes to show how amazing colorists are as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the artist to Stargazer,
Mm-hmm.
the super trippy out. He would literally rip the pages apart and just give this atmospheric look. It's here. But where I'm bringing up the colorist bit is that in that one, I love the way like the palette was throughout that book. And it just goes to show how seriously different it is here, because those the same artist, and I see the similarities with like the people and how it should look. It's so vibrant. There's so many different colors in this one now, and just it literally paints it as a whole different book as it is. But man, because like I mean, you see the similar artists with like Sean Murphy, but he's always locked in with Matt Hollingsworth, so it always literally looks the same. But in this case with Stefano, it's just like they're just two very different books, and I'm so excited for where this can go, because again, it's such an original idea, and yeah, I'm excited for this one too.
Yeah, it's a really cool, unique idea, and I'm genuinely curious to see where it goes. So yeah, let's see here. Next, we're going to move on to a smaller publisher, and we're going to talk about Behemoth Comics. Josue, talk to me about MFKZ1.
Motherfuckers is the name of the book / movie. I had that shit.
I was going to say, this is based on something from Netflix, right?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Something like that, right?
It's basically a French book, and I don't want to say this is like the first time it's finally hitting us in English, but yeah, the movie basically got adapted first. And yeah, it is that crazy movie. And this comic book, I had to get the Vince cover. It's literally the 6th variant. But it's literally adapting the movie. If you've seen the movie, then you pretty much like, and if you want to get the comic book, because it kind of has like some similarities too on how it looks like it feels like a comic book movie. It's really all here. If anything, like you get a little bit added scenes in the book, but just by barely. Like in the movie, when he gets distracted by like the girl when he's driving the little scooter and he gets run over by the giant truck, you actually get to see like the brutal crash and him like hitting the pavement. And it's more grotesque in this one, where in the movie, it literally just cuts to and him just walking home after being beat up by the crash.
I haven't actually seen the movie, so.
Oh damn! It's really cool. It's one of the things about the movie, or at least like the world itself, is that it's basically, it's one of those where it's like I guess it might have been more okay over there, especially with the way it's said, but the location is called Dark Meat City, which is kind of like, especially when it's supposed to be a literal otherworld flip side take on like the ghetto side of LA. So it's kind of like to call it Dark Meat City. It's kind of like, it's probably just because it sounds better on how it's supposed to sound in French. It doesn't do well over here. But other than that, it's just it's still a dope movie. It's just fucking crazy with all the shit that happens. So it's really a world with no rules. But you're just locked down with like these 3 weird ass people that just should not be surviving in this world. And so I'm excited for this one because this is actually more of a literal adaptation towards the movie, and it definitely cuts about like 20 minutes into the movie. So we'll probably get like an actual set series of this instead of like what was the other thing Behemoth adapted or took on? A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. We only got 2 issues of those, and that one seemed more like it was diving into like the lore of her vampirism, and I did want more of that, and just cut right then and there. So it's kind of like, oh, that sucks. And so I guess like there's their new movie IP that they got, and it's actually really cool how it's just like, yeah, a literal adaptation.
Nice. All right, great. Well, let's kick over to another publisher. We're going through these quick publishers, and we're going to start next with Oni Press. I have one book for Oni Press, which is Jonna and the Unpossible Monsters. This book is getting more and more charming as I read it. So, written by Chris and Laura Samney, arts by Chris Samney, colors by Matt Wilson, and lettered by Crink. So when we left off, the 2 sisters are reunited, and they meet a group of survivors that are fighting back against the monsters. And they get attacked by this like really big monster. And this, again, it gave me a really Hanna-Barbera feel at times, just because like it was cool because like the 2 adults are attacking this monster, and it looks awesome, and the action's cool, and they all look badass and stuff. And then they're fighting it, and it looks like one of them's about to die. It's like there's all these cool moves being used and stuff. And then the little girl gets up toddles over there and punches the monster straight in the face
Yeah.
and knocks it into the next county, basically. So she has
shit.
basically, so she's like Hanna-Barbera super strong, like a Bam Bam type, like, which I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so it's a lot of fun, and everybody's like, wow, we should team up with her. And they're like, no, thank you, we're on our own, basically. So it's really cute and fun. Like I said, my only gripe with this book is, and I think it's just because of how like greatly visual it is, we don't get a lot in each issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like but I think each issue is doing a good job of making itself distinct from each other. So it's still really, really enjoyable. And just, yeah, I really like the characters. They're a lot of fun. So highly recommend. Once again, great all ages book, as I've said in the past. So I will keep saying it. So next up, let's move over to Mad Cave Studios host Sway. Tell me about Beckstar 2, which I could not find this week.
Beckstar number 2. I mean, I feel like you'd actually like this because it is like one of those like sci-fi books where we have like the ragtag team. This one written by Joe Corrallo, artist by Lorenzo Colangeli, and I guess cover artist is Sweeney Boo. Lettering, there is Joe Hill.
It did give me very strong Vagrant Queen vibes.
Yeah, pretty much. But instead of just being like her, it's kind of like if she had like 2 more of her, but not being the same character, but 2 other very individuals with their own personality instead of just like the one, you know?
Yeah.
No, but it's really cool. I like this one a lot more than the first one because you actually get some serious character development. Like the first one, it just felt like, okay, we got to introduce everybody. So it almost felt like they each were trying to like one up each other on like what made them interesting and made them all interesting. It's all together in a way. Just because like I just want to know what the point of it was. Where like the point of the story is, there was a group of 4 who all found these magical artifacts, and one of them kind of turned dark side now wants all the magical artifacts. Right? Cool. So the one of the ones from the group, she was like kind of like the most drunk one, like the most attitude one, the most vagrant queen one. She was one that got the serious character development in this issue, where they're off to go find one of the other artifacts, but she knew that it wasn't going to be easy. It was pretty much like a laid out test set of booby traps to find a thing to go find said artifact. And when she got there, there was like something manifested in front of her where it was something that she needed as some sort of closure for something that we're going to get that's been alluded to. So in this case, it's like, yeah, it didn't really mean that much for us with her in that scene, in that moment, but it was definitely something I was needed to be seen from this character altogether. Just because like it just seemed like if it didn't happen now, it was going to happen like 8 issues from now, and she was just going to be just like, yeah, the hard stoic, just like I'm a bitch for no reason, and I'm the boss, you know. But in this case, you got to see her vulnerable, and it just helped out. It just helped out for the whole situation, and then just like something really cool happens. But I kind of do want you to read this book too. And now I'm actually really more interested in the book altogether, just because they just seem more human-like now. They actually just seem more relatable now. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked what I saw, but like I said, it was a weird week for comics, guys. We're probably going to be talking about this a little bit, so we might as well get out of the way. The comic stores in Phoenix didn't get their diamond shipment in until halfway through Wednesday, and I have to pick up my books at a specific time. I was there. Long story short, it didn't work out very well. But so certain books just wasn't able to obtain. So Beckstar was one of them. Mostly the ones that are really hard to find, of course. So, and then of course there were several cancellations that I wasn't even made aware of. So yeah, great. So we really got to find a better way of like a thing that updates when things are pushed. So
seriously,
if anyone listening has a recommendation, let us know. We currently use what's it called? League of Comic Geeks. Yeah. So if you find anything better than that, please let us know. So. All right, let's move on to a regular favorite of ours, Aftershock Comics. We have 3 books for Aftershock.
Yes.
And I'm going to start off with 1, and then Josue has 2. I'm going to start with The Bequest number 4. So this is the final issue of the run, by the way.
Ooh, okay. Oh,
so
really?
it's only a 4-issue run. So I think you got the early issues, right?
I got the 1 and 2, yeah, so it can be easy to find 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Written by Tim Seeley, arts by Freddie E. Williams II, coloring Jeremy Colwell, and lettering by Marshall Dillon. I actually muttered aloud and I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. As I was reading this, I muttered aloud, Tim Seeley's back on his shit again.
And if he hears this when he does, it will be a compliment.
Yes, because the bad guy gives this, fucking monologue to his followers. And it's like, someone goes, what do you want? And he goes, it's not what I want, it's what I need. And what I need is a country that recognizes truth. Truth that freedom and liberty are dying at the hands of the corrupt elite, the scientists, the experts, the media, the socialist left. All of them hiding the truth that this country belongs to us. White men.
Oh my God.
I love Tim so much. When we interviewed him, I was like, oh, he seems like he's a pretty liberal dude. Now I'm like, every book comes out, I'm like, yeah. White men, the founders of this nation, who forged it and defended it in our blood. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's so good. Between this and Muddy Shot, oh my God, it's the best. So basically, in the end, they have to have a fight with the big bad. One of the big bads, basically it's just a really dope fight. I don't want to give you a blow by blow. It's fucking great. Read it.
Oh no, I'm definitely gonna. If it ended in it for sure, like why would I stop halfway there? I'm definitely gonna finish this.
We do have a shocking death.
Ooh no.
Yeah.
Please don't let it be my confused name.
Of the 5 of them, you can probably guess who it is.
I mean, it's probably the one if it's like the dude I unseemingly didn't anticipate I was going to love the most.
You're talking about Warlock?
And it would be Warlock.
It's not Warlock. Warlock's the main character of the story.
Okay, thank God.
Do you want to
know? No, because I'm going to hunt these down.
Okay. I'll just tell you this: if you find out, you go, "Oh, okay." Like I don't see you being like, "No."
Honestly, it was only Warlock because I didn't think I was gonna just grab onto him as much as I did because he's just so fucking funny.
We find out so much about his past.
Oh man,
we find out why he's named Warlock. I'm gonna spoil this for you because
it's cool for sure.
His parents are the 2 most powerful mages of opposing forces. And so he was destined to be the most powerful mage, so they named him Warlock because that was the role he was going to have. Yeah. And he turned into a drunken brawler instead.
Yes, that's the only reasoning I needed. That's perfect.
I know, it's great. It's so Tim Seeley, and I love it. So, wonderful book. Check out the mini when it comes out. They do a really great thing at the end. A hey, thanks for reading thing. Mm-hmm. And Tim does say at the end of it, blah, blah, blah. And I hope most of all that Freddie, Jeremy, Marshall, Christina, Mike, and I can come back and tell more stories about the War Party and their not so politically correct adventures through a not so sane world. So
cool.
Hopefully. So loved it. Highly recommend it when the trade comes out. Pick it up. It's absolutely wonderful. If you're a digital comics person, purchase it. Comixology, wherever you might purchase your digital comics. But yeah, really, really good. Moving on. Josue, let us start with Nuclear Family 5. This is an ending. 2 endings in a row.
Nuclear Family number 5. This one by Stephanie Phillips. Art by Tony Chastain. Colors J.D. Mettler. And lettering by Troy Peteri. Man. Okay. So, how do we get to the ending here? Where we're 10 years in the future, and the bombs did go up, and in this case, for some reason, out of nowhere, yes, 10 years later, it was their house that just kind of almost poofed out of nowhere. And as it was that decade ago before the bombs went up, right? So where we left off was the governor that was running the underground city in the future said, yo, I'm leaving with you guys. I got you an exit. I'll leave with you guys. And here's the plan. He pretty much gets them to the front door. He's like, just walk 3 miles just straight and I'll meet you over there. And they're like, yo, as they're doing it, because they really have no other choice. They're like, what if that was all bullshit? What if he's not there? It's it's a possibility, knowing how this dude is just a scheming asshole. But no, he's actually there, and he's there with the truck, and they pretty much now are trekking back to the house. And they're being all right, Dad, what was it that you fucking did when this happened? And so yeah, I was telling us all those times ago, is that he was tinkering. He has this elaborate radio set, CB radio set in his basement, and all he was doing, he was just trying to boost the signal the whole time just to see if it would work better. And then that's when the alarms went off and the bombs went, and they were sent to the future. So as they're kind of still trekking to the house, the car breaks down, missiles start coming down because the governor had just like had requested order. He was just like, oh shit, it's too soon. And one of the creators gets caught under the wheel. It's like, oh shit, they have to like run into the house. And this is where like just Fallout ghouls like pretty much like are running after them. It's pretty much like all the experiments that they let loose, like all the experiments that the governor was running are pretty much like after them. So they make a break for the house, and it's pretty much like now it's like a standoff to just like trying to hold the fort while the dad is just like trying to tinker with the fucking radio set. And throughout this whole time, we're being told two stories. We're being told, I mean, like everything I'm telling you right now, and another 10 years prior, back when the dad was in the Korean War, and at one point he was with his best friend, the one that in this future didn't believe that they knew each other. They're just talking to each other. It's like, oh, like about their home sweethearts and stuff. When the alarms go off there too, and the bombs are dropping, and they're like, and he figures out like, yo, those bombs came from the east. That should be, holy shit, this might be friendly fire. Then he goes and starts to fucking with the radio. And he tells them, yo, like, hey, does anybody, once he finally starts getting to work, and it's like, yo, this might be friendly fire, stop the bombs. There's like a shot of like one last bomb dropping maybe on them. And this is where it cuts to back at home, and they're back at the present, and everything's all nice and dandy. Like it's crisis averted. We're at the last page. Only right before all the shit went down, the governor that was with them, he pretty much like also took like a sacrificial approach and he ended up losing his glasses and they just fell on the floor, and those ended up in the future. Like everybody should have ended in the future. Or at least now in their present, the family of four, the governor, and then the other kid, the one that the daughter kind of like had a little thing for. Them two were just completely not in the house. It doesn't really get explained if they were just because in this future they no longer exist. They didn't get to squeeze by and like cause that paradox. But the glasses still lingered, so it just kind of leaves that it's like that open-endedness. But now I'm also thinking like, what if like this whole thing has been bullshit? Maybe the dad actually did die in the Korean War, and it's just been like his own like maybe like slice of heaven and future, and little sci-fi nerd that kind of like went a little more into the future. So
right,
yeah. So it's like I was like, why paint this little side story? Why paint this little past story? But yeah, other than that, like it was a great book. It just definitely had me like gripped the whole time on like how are we gonna get back to the present, or to, in this case, into the past. But yeah, good job, Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah, she always does great work. Big fan. All right, now let's talk about another book that that I wasn't able to pick up. So I'm very curious to see what you thought. Phantom on the Scan, number 3.
Oh man, I just want to keep spoilers light because you do get to find out some stuff. But I just want to start out with, again, another fucking song with this book, like to add to the score. And the thing about what I like about these songs, that these added songs, is that they really don't have a vibe with the book. They're not like weirdly ominous or eerie to sink you into like the actual creepiness of the book. It just has this sound that just almost like shouldn't be here, but then almost just sounds so right because of just why this book is so weird. And yeah, let's dive into it. Remember what happened last time with Victor just showing up at that other scientist. So yeah, he pretty much just takes care of business just with the guy, and then just like tells like the crew and being like, "Yo, I did this for your own good. You're pretty much welcome," and then just like walks away, and everybody's like, just pretty much like everybody's like,
"You're welcome," and he just walks away. Like
he pretty much doesn't do anything. Or the main guy, he goes up like, "Yo, you fucking killed him," and he goes for a punch, and he just like telekinesis him like just like to the wall and just like, "Yeah, you're damn right, I killed him. Like, but I'm not the monster here. He killed me first. Give it time, and then just like you'll see what I mean." And then he literally just walks away. So now they're just not, and so another group is even more confused, and like they thought he was there for them too, and so they have like one more lead on another scientist that they can go to. And this is the part where I'll go light on spoilers because two powers get used, and on the first one you do get answers, or at least like what happened to them all that time ago, and like or why they're the way they are,
right?
And then to the last one, as they're on the way to the next lead, the next scientist that knows stuff, another person uses their powers too in order to get there and find them and to warn him that Victor's on the way here to get you, like fucking bolt. This is where we get like the cliffhanger, and it's like one of those where it's like, oh shit, I forgot that this shit was happening too, and it's like fuck. I really like this book.
Nice. Yeah, I've liked what I've seen. Literally, the Phoenix Valley got no copies at all. So,
but you said that they at least paid for it, so hopefully they're just like the specific book is just late and they'll get there and you'll still get it next week.
yeah, definitely. I'm hoping so. I already reserved a copy for when they come in. So,
Sweet.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to Dark Horse. I got a Dark Horse book. I got issue 4 of Lady Baltimore. Lady Baltimore is the one. Oh, by the way, sorry. Creative team for Phantom on the Scan. You didn't.
Oh yeah, Cullen Bunn as the writer, Mark Torres as the artist, and Dave Sharp as the letterer.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was about to do mine. Okay, so Lady Baltimore creative team is written by Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden, art by Bridget Connell, colors by Michelle Madsen, and letters by Clem Robbins. This is a pretty dope cover. It's probably my favorite cover so far.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's pretty sick. The Witch Queens. So basically, we have these Nazi witches attacking and I just love Nazi witches. It's such a great, stupid concept. I love it. And the fact they call them the Hexen Corps, which I'm like, yeah,
oh my
that's
God.
good shit.
Yeah.
So basically, they recruit a golem into their side to fight the witches, and the golem's like just looks around, and goes witches, and just starts going towards the witches. Like basically, it's pretty funny. And yeah, they're fighting back. The problem is the golem leaves the city or the village it was guarding, so that village starts getting attacked, and they're fighting everything. And we find out that the Hexen Corps have been combining their powers, and they all start doing this shit right here, Josue. So see how like they're all together and they all start casting spells into the air.
Yeah.
And then we see our next issue's last issue, by the way, we see.
Okay. What? Sick.
Yes.
That's dope.
Yeah. So we get a big monster for those of you on our audio show. We get a big monster coming out of the water. So very cool. I was very surprised by this book. And how much I liked it. I really picked it up on a whim. I'd never heard of it before or anything like that. So really good stuff. One issue left, and I'll definitely talk about it more then. Moving on. Josue, talk to me about Magma Comics and the Modern Frankenstein.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. So, this one by Paul Cornell, art by Emma Biaschelli, and color art by Pippa Bolin, and lettering by Simon Bolin. So we finally find out who our Frankenstein monster experiment was from like the little skateboardist that he was, and it was basically a vlogger piece of shit dude who would have a show or at least basically a show that's titled "Live Your Male Power." Those types of fucking people, and that's who they decided to kidnap, and that's who was the experiment. And this is who our dear protagonist really fell for James for. I'm trying to find her fucking name, but yeah, this is who the experiment was that she and Dr. Frankenstein both worked on together in order to, I mean, for her to prove herself that she was just as much as the doctor that he is. It wasn't just like this whole time. It's like the narration in this issue is her writing a letter to her mom. It almost sounds a little bit confessional, and she kind of does allude, in case we do get found out, you'll know my reasonings on why I did all this. One of them being because like this issue is about them kind of going to retrieve said experiment or monster that escaped. Once they do get him, she was the one that euthanized him. He was going to do it. And he's like, no. Like, I want to do it just so this can make me just as much as complicit as you are. And it wasn't, and it's not one of those that you forced me to do it, or I never knew what you were doing. In this case, yeah, she's just as equal as he is. So I take him back. And in this book, there wasn't as much sexy times as there was in the first two.
I was going to say, you haven't said anything sexy.
No, I mean, there was a moment where they were about to, and she has like she delivers a really, really good line before it gets cut off. Before it gets cut off by the sirens, because that's when he decided to escape. But in the end, you think there's going to be some time for some sexy times, but no. there's more than enough sexy times because this whole time these doctors, because there were several levels of protection that had been somehow bypassed here. And yeah. Use protection, people. Even if you think you're the smartest people in the room, still.
Our audio listeners.
For our audio listeners.
She was looking at a pregnancy test.
Yes. A lot of sexy times did happen, and now there's proof that there was. So,
yeah. That's definitely proof.
Actually, I enjoy this book a lot. It's just so fun to talk about.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We are moving on. Another publisher, Ablaze Publishing. We are going to talk about Eros and Psyche number 4. Easily my favorite issue of this so far.
Oh, really?
Yep. I got this cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's what was it the A cover? Yeah, it's the cover.
It is the A cover,
but it's really nice. So, so we see the group of girls whittle down, and we get them whittled down pretty quickly at this point. And we get an we get a idea that a lot of time is passing, and we finally see the relationship between our two leading ladies, I should say, become romantic in nature, which was great. The highlight for me, and this is the most basic take possible, because this is what everybody's going to say, but I absolutely loved it. When the string broke.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they finally kissed, the shot of the string tied back together.
When it was how it was tied, yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. I loved that. So, again, a very basic take on it, but I thought that was great. And then slowly but surely, we get whittled down, so only the two of them are left. And is the next issue the last issue? It says to be continued.
Yeah, right.
But that's never like a guarantee.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it, though. It's really, really good.
This one was like the one I was kind of most confused about. It was like the one that was said the least about kind of what was happening, what's going on. It was definitely more up for your interpretation of what was happening in the panels. But holy shit, for being a penultimate issue, I was expecting a little bit more of some explanation, at least like into the school, but it just seemed like such a personal take on like the events that happened last issue. But yeah, other than that, it still like the parts that you said were really good. And again, like I can't blame it on the art. Like again, creative team was just Murray. I love it, and she just really nails it. I like how we just had Luna's ending, and pretty much like no spot was like unused in her pages. It was so fucking awesome. And in this case, there's just so much blank space. It just feels like such a personal book. I
adore how she uses the lack of color in this book.
Yeah. No, honestly,
the
me
blacks
too.
and the whites. It's just so great. Like, I love it.
I like that it triggers my brain to be like, should I be reading more into this? Because it's like it's not offering a lot of words, so I feel like I should be, and that's kind of like what makes me like the book.
Yeah, it's great. It's drawn like an independent film is shot. That's the way I think of it.
Yeah,
like a really artsy independent film.
Yes.
Not like Clerks. Yeah, really good stuff. So. Awesome. Let's move on to finally a big vault week.
Yes.
We had a couple of lean weeks there for a while, but I'm so glad. Josue, talk to me about Shadow Service. What number is it, by the way?
This Shadow Service is number 9.
Perfect. Talk to me
this by Kavan Scott. Artist is Corin Howell, and colors is Triana Farrell, and lettering by Andworld. We get the dude who is running, the kid who runs MI666. We get his backstory. And oh man, and his backstory, and we get to see almost like why he's like an immortal, or why he's kind of been trapped as like an immortal little boy. And his story starts all the way back in 1582, and he was basically just like one of those boys that kind of serves the church and it's so funny that it's like how it starts, because like he's literally fetching wine for the priest, and when he's approaching the door, he's like, "Hey, can I come in? Is it okay?" And then he peeks in because nobody's answering, and the priest is literally butt-ass naked in front of this again gorgeous angel.
What the fuck?
It's so cool. And of course the priest is like, "What are you doing?" It's like I think you just told him to go fetch you some wine, right? This is why the story is starting here. Why would you start doing this shit right now? So of course,
I have time.
So of course, the little boy freaks out and like literally runs away. There is another guy that's working in the church too, and I mean, and that catches him like, oh, and just does the whole like, oh, it's okay, little boy, but he's also in on it too. So they basically use him as part of a ritual, and they just tattoo.
Okay, for those who can't see this, it's not a sexual thing.
No.
You're saying priests use little boy. I want to make sure that was clear. So.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, after I just said all the ritual stuff, I guess I'm alluding to more of a science take, and they use the little boy as part of a ritual, and they just start tattooing his whole body, and almost like, and that thing that the priest was praying to, that angel demon like looking thing, they basically trap that deity into the little boy, and that's why the little boy is almost like all knowing now and super smart and like.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah, dude. This book is so fucking dark, and again, I love the art because then like we come back to the present and we come back to the protagonist that was then betrayed the MI666 and now is being held captive by the people who she betrayed him for, and now that demon from the demon that's been kind of like running the show from the bad guy side peeks into her brain because like she's like. All right, who is this just a simple witch? And when she peeks at her, she's that demon lady, she sees herself. Again, I fucking love the art. She sees herself staked out to assume is like her, the chick, the protagonist, Gina. And it's like this page is just, this spread is just like, holy fucking shit. And then she freaks out. The demon lady just freaks out and it's like, what the fuck? And it becomes like almost like just chaos ensues now. She reverts to her actual demon self, this giant albino like demon thing, like snake looking thing.
Jesus,
really cool. And at this point, now the rest of the MI666 characters like jump in, and they all kind of like they're now like, or they teamed up again. Like it's like bullshit aside, like betrayals aside, we all need to work together because shit's about to literally blow up over at where's Big Ben at? What's the whole place called?
London.
Oh, in London, but what's this actual like? This thing's actually gonna blow up.
Oh, I don't know. Is that Westminster Abbey? Is it Parliament? I don't know.
Is it Parliament? Yeah, it's literally where Big Ben is at, like the end of V for Vendetta. So I guess it is Parliament. Yeah. So yeah, that shit's about to blow up because that's really kind of been like the whole end game from like the bad guy side, and I mean obviously from what we've seen from other books and of Arthurian legends and stuff aside, the government knows a little more than they lead on with. So holy shit, a lot's about to happen in the next issue. Shit's literally about to blow up. And yeah, that double page spread about the potential future was just like, I need to know what kind of power scale this is because holy shit,
that's crazy, dude.
Especially because like the demons on the bottom, it's just like it's literally just nothing but carnage, and just to see her just staked out that way, and then like what? No, people need to start reading Shadow Service. Like I hope it goes on for another volume or something because I cannot let go of this art. I'm really going to be looking for Corin Howell for this next project. This guy needs to blow up on some art.
Gotcha. Okay, sweet. Let's see here. Isn't Ren a woman?
Corin? Oh shit, my bad.
I thought Corin's a woman. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Corin Howell has to fucking kill it. Then it's like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry, you had me doubt myself for a second there.
Oh my bad.
Maybe not. The pictures are always their art, so I honestly don't know. Tell us about it on Twitter because I'm very familiar with your Twitter because I see it all the time. Yeah, I think it's a woman. Because they do Calamity Kate and stuff too. So.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. Cool. Moving on from Shadow Service to Giga. Giga number 4. It feels like it's a while since we got a Giga.
Yeah, this one comes out very sporadically.
Yeah. Obviously published by Vault, written by Alex Packnadel, drawn by John Lee, colorist is Rush, and letter is Aditya Bidikar, with Danny Lore doing the sensitivity reading. We love Danny Lore. She's great. So, or they're great. So this one, it took me a minute because I struggled. Again, it's been a while, so I was like, "Wait, what happened last?" Like I was like, it took me a minute to be like, "Okay, let me figure out where I was." And but I adapted pretty quickly. We found out quite a bit more about kind of the struggle between the city and the outsiders and what's going on. And we see some really barbaric moments of violence, actually.
Yeah.
Like when they gunned the guy down, when all he was doing was trading spices, and like when he says, "I have kids," and like hopefully they run faster than you do. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like, and we find out more about hacking into the gigas and what goes on and everything. And then we get this crazy thing, which I'm not going to talk about because I want people. If you read this book, I want you to discover what happens here yourself. But it's a pretty great. I would say it feels like a penultimate issue of the arc, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the arc's going to be 4 or 5 or 6, but it definitely feels like a lot happened to build up in this, and I really liked it. So, what about you?
Definitely same, especially like in this case with Aiko and like her journey on like trying to pilot or just like going into like the mechs. That was something I was kind of like looking out for too, because it's kind of like they're just living there, but there should be something more piloting to them, and it seems like it's just not that easy, and she's just like going with the other direction, just like using them as bombs, like in her own way. It's like fuck. But other than that, yeah, definitely like the it being a while definitely took me a while to adapt or follow back into the story as well. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right with the whole penultimate issue thing. It seems like it's kind of like leading up to something big in this next one.
Yeah, like it did a good job of developing both sides of it separately, but also pointed them at each other at the end.
Right.
So it's definitely leading to the conflict. So very good book. Happy to see it back. Next up, our final Vault book. And kind of a surprise book for us, because I know when we first saw it, we were kind of like, Vault doing superheroes? Do we need Vault doing superheroes? It's kind of not their thing. The Blue Flame, number 2. Written by Christopher Cantwell. Drawn by Adam Gorham, colored by Kurt Michael Russell, lettered by Hassan Otsmani El How. Of course, because it's Vault, it's not a typical superhero book.
Yeah.
So we got the 2 stories running concurrently, and the one is in our real world, where there's a mass shooting. There's a bunch of people that are basically vigilantes in their local town. And they're unpowered, but they're just like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do the right thing. They're almost a neighborhood watch. and then they're making a personal appearance, and they get gunned down. Then we cut to the Blue Flame, who is one of the heroes in that world, and is an actual Nova-like hero. Nova, Green Lantern, maybe, type hero in this world.
Yeah.
And he's basically there to defend the human race against extinction, and to justify its existence. And the relation between the 2 worlds has been kind of cloudy, and we've been trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. What's happening? How is this working out? We get a little peek into it, and I don't want to get too much into it, because again, it's the kind of thing I would want people to really experience.
Yeah.
But we definitely see there is a connection now. And we get a point of view of a character throughout most of the book that we don't even really understand who they are till the end. That I thought was really well done, because I was kind of like, who is this? What's going on here? I was curious to know. I wasn't bored, But yeah, I really, really dug it. It's a great start so far. What do you think?
Honestly, no, I like it too, especially because like I still don't know what side to believe, what side I'm supposed to really lean on. And this one did that. I like on the first one, you do follow the space, and then you get sent to the back, and you kind of like, and that was a good bait and switch. In this case, both stories were running concurrently. Really, is kind of like it made me a little bit more confused. In a way where it's kind of like now I really don't know where my theory should go. I'll need definitely for sure for like the next issue. But that being said, their journey on it, or like when we get to the one potential, like the future one, and he's having the conversation with that alien, and like the part where he's kind of like warning him is like, yo, like you can't fuck this up. Like, it's your one test, your one chance to prove why y'all should join this galactic union.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up like I did. And you're like, oh shit, like why would this guy look out for this one human when he messed up too? But he's actually kind of looking out for like the next people, the next planet to join. And it's kind of like,
that was a cool move. I like that.
That was a cool move, because it just shows how like the Galactic Council, the Space Council, all those ethers should be that selfless, as opposed to our selfishness here on Earth. So I really like that bit.
Yeah. Vault doesn't shy from making a political statement.
Yep.
Which we always love them for.
That's
So, yeah. All right, awesome. Moving on away from Vault, let's go to Image Comic Books. Take a moment for you to fill in the blank of what you need to hear every time I say that name. Cool. All right. We're going to start with some solo books. I am going to start with The Old Guard, Tales Through Time. I'm not being mocking. I actually really enjoyed this book. So this is the one. It's kind of like a mini. I'm trying to think of the word to use. I don't know. It's a bunch of short stories, but there's only 2 in each issue, so it's not like a full-on collection. But when it's a trade, it will be. So this one, there's 2 stories, and the first one is written by Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh shit! Nice.
With art by Michael Avon Oeming and color by Taki Soma. The second story is written by Robert McKenzie and Dave Walker, with art by Justin Greenwood and colors by Daniel Miwa.
Is that like a Powers reunion with Bendis and Oeming?
I think so. Yeah. I you know what? I was looking at this and I was kind of like, why is this so familiar? I didn't realize Oeming was Powers. I totally get it now. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is Powers. Of course it is. I'm stupid. So, and again, we get some really great short stories. We find out, again, it's all about the characters from the Old Guard. I don't want to get too much into it. If you enjoyed the book or the movie and the original comic, pick this up because it's going to flesh out a lot of characters and kind of really highlights the whole trapped in time aspect. This one does a really good job of really highlighting the everyone around you ages while you don't. So it's just really, really interesting. So, and then the second one was pretty fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was about them trying to find a serial killer, and basically, what do you do if 2 immortals are hunting you down and you're a serial killer? You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot you can really do about it in the end. So, but they're both really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Again, not too many spoilers I want to get into because I really want people to enjoy it, and it's such a superstar team. So yeah, really, really good. Next up, Undiscovered Country 13. It's back again. Cover?
Yeah.
Written by Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. Art by Giuseppe Comencoli and Leonardo Marcello Grassi. Coloring by Matt Wilson and lettered by Crink. So, we're moving on to the third world in the New America. And what is this world? Well, the first world was freedom. And freedom was... What is freedom in the end? It's chaos. If you have ultimate freedom to do whatever you want, it's chaos, right? Yeah. So that's the Mad Max world. And then the second one was basically technology, advancement. What if we had unbridled technology? Well, we'll stop caring about other people and we'll pay whatever cost we need to get the next step. And so basically we're finding out that every bit of humanity taken out, to its extreme is bad, basically is the way to look at it. This one is Zone Possibility. And this one is where all of culture is created. Music, movies, poems, everything. And it's a sea with a bunch of islands. And Uncle Sam shows up again, this time dressed as a pirate. And he's like, what island do we need to go to? And so one's called like Canvas, and it looks like a painter's thing. With this,
yeah.
They're all like differently shaped, and so like Loreville, like Chapter House, like it's just literally like where are we going to go to be inspired? And the way to get out of this one is to they have to create basically a masterpiece, and then suddenly they're on their boat, and Sam's arm gets shot off by a cannon, and who's approaching but a bunch of gangsters on a boat. Now, you might notice they're in black and white.
Yeah.
They're called the Noir people.
Of course.
So you can imagine. I love this already. So, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. They get attacked, and the whole thing was that they need to create this thing in order to get by. And then it's focusing on one of the main characters who was obsessed with this superhero as a child. And when she washes ashore on an island, she comes face to face with that superhero who's like, I'm here to help you, little lady. So maybe the story is going to be based around that. I don't know. It's really cool, though. I'm glad this book's back. It's only grown on me from the beginning. So good stuff. Next up, Josue, give us our regularly scheduled Bitterroot update.
Yes, Bitterroot. This is part 4 of volume 3, and this is created by David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. Color artist is Sophie Dodson, and lettering by Hassan Otamane and Olao. Okay, I've been really loving this this volume, but I feel like it's like one of the most like spoilery ones that really happened. It's like if you're in the know, then you know. But I'll just kind of keep it again, kind of light on this one, because this issue kind of does focus. It does focus on like three people in particular. It focuses with Enoch, like Uncle Enoch, and at first it's kind of a confessional, but meanwhile showing the process all those years ago when he discovered literally by accident he's a man of science, but he kind of started tinkering with some magic, and it kind of became like that science that can't be explained as magic and vice versa. And that's how he got those like the cute bunnies to come around on his side. And in this case, it was like they scared the shit out of him, but then he realized like that they're like the good side from their purgatory, and we'll get that in a second. And then we jump into the present-ish, or at least like to like the one last battle, and it kind of starts jumping back and forth, but it's really focusing on Blink and her kind of like having her own internal monologue on how she's losing hope, and it's like, or at least like losing that confidence on where we last left off, on where Ma Etta entrusted her to be like the new leader of like all of like all the groups, or at least and also for the Sangiers, like the new head of the family. And now she's kind of like feeling like maybe she might not be up for it. And then we cut to the third character. We cut to the place Barzak, which is kind of like their own purgatory. And we cut to Dr. Sylvester. And this whole time, he chose to stay behind so he can kind of figure out a way to beat the Janu. And he said like he wouldn't come back until he finally figured it out. So he's been struggling. He actually found his own path. And again, you get these weird visuals, and it's like, so he found his own path and is finding his own discoveries. Mm-hmm. That's him. That's like the stature of the whole thing. So he's in front of this giant statue, and he's like, and that's where it cuts off. And I guess, sorry, there's like another character. For a second, it does focus on Ma Etta and the steps that she needs to take and for this last fight. And she takes this concoction and it literally taps into this like afterlife, and she sees like these other warriors that are like throughout this fog, and like they might be joining us because like they're literally the people who are like in the back of like the covers. Like these are like our regular main characters, but these people in the back who are joining the fight, that's who she basically called.
Nice. And
that kind of is jumping all over the place, and everybody's like still kind of like wrapping up like their thoughts. And then but mainly at the end we come back to Blink and to what is supposed to be now like the actual present, literally a year, where it's kind of like this chapter has been kind of like jumping time a lot. The actual present right now, it's like in the story is 1925, and she's leaning over some graves and kind of does like its own like little spoilery take. And even though we've been seeing these characters alive right now, and this is like who she's kind of like not been monologuing to, but talking to, and somebody shows up, and Janu show up, and so it's like, well, it's time to fight, and this person's all like armored up and helps her out. Helmet comes off, and it's Dr. Sylvester. All those years ago, like when he's in Barzak, he's kind of been trapped there for shit doesn't say, but he's kind of been trapped there since like at the end of the first volume, and now he's back and he has some answers, and that's literally where it gets left off. And I think the next issue should be the last one for this chapter. For this volume. It even says to be concluded, but it's not the actual story. Like I feel like shit's just starting out, or we're all just getting together. It cannot be the end.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's doing so well.
Oh, totally.
It'd be ridiculous to end it right now. So awesome. All right, we have a couple shared vault books. Let's start off. Let me pull it up here. Let's start off with Shadecraft number 4. Written by Joe Henderson, drawn by Lee Garbett, colored by Antonio Fabella, and lettered by Simon Boland. Man, how do we talk about this without spoiling? It's so good, guys.
I love this book so much.
It's very fucking good. It's only improved, and it was good to start with. We get a killer twist, and half the issue is related to the twist, and I don't want to tell you the twist, so find out for yourself. But it's been very, very, very good, and we find out some interesting details about her powers and the source of them, and who exactly her guidance counselor could be. Is the shadow really her brother? Like, literally all these things are addressed. And if I just gave you a play-by-play, I would literally just spoil the entire comic to you.
We would have to go into like the next bit, into the next bit, into the next bit, and it's the whole issue. Yeah. But it's really good. Like, this is the type of book, and I was like, literally every issue, I'm like, this is my Radiant Black, where it's just like, I want wherever this chooses to end, like, let all the characters be established and everything. But once she has a control over the Shadecraft, like, let her cross over. Like, I want her as a superhero. Like, I love this book so much.
Yeah. It's great. And one thing I will say about this is we spent 3 issues with half the story being, oh crap, I got powers and my brother is a shadow, and the other half being like, boy drama. And then this issue very much makes it like, there's even a moment where it's like, oh, you hear so-and-so broke up with his girlfriend, and she literally could care less at this point because she's got bigger problems. And I thought that was great. Like, I was like, why would she care at this point? And so that was awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. So good shit. That's a good book. So speaking of good books, the triumphant return of one of our favorites, Homesick Pilots.
Homesick Pilots.
Number 6. So first we'll look at the back. We got the new sticker on the back. Yes. As you pointed out. So this book has thrown us on a loop, is what we'll say. Oh my gosh. Written by Dan Waters, drawn by Casker Vingard, lettered by Aditya Bidikar. So for those who don't remember, this is the one about the 2 punk bands that somehow turned into a haunted house story that somehow turns into a government organization fighting evil story. But it all makes sense, and it's all really still very good.
Yes.
I fucking love this story. There's lots of bits I absolutely enjoy. If you haven't been reading it, if we tell you too much, it won't make sense. Because you'll be like, wait, what? And you'll be like, wait, what happened to so-and-so? And like, that's kind of like worrying. So, but we do get a shift in main character is what I'll say. We did see that in the last issue. Yeah. And it was basically confirmed in this issue, which I thought was really great. We get to see more from the Nuclear Bastards point of view than the Homesick Pilots point of view, which I thought was a lot of fun. And yeah, we've yet to find out more about the organization that the two of them, her and Rip, have joined. Yeah. And what exactly they're doing and everything. And just there's so many cool things. God, how do I talk about this? Okay, non-spoilery. The fact that she's covered in blood at all times is one of the coolest things about this book. I fucking love it. It's such a cool idea.
It's sick, but it's almost like it's literally such a cool curse. Like to have, like we're talking about hauntings, and so this is kind of a curse, and they basically talk about it in and around like as it is a curse. They keep apologizing to her on why she has it, who she has on her, and it is fucked up, but it is really cool.
It's very cool. And just the art's so great. It's just crisp and just lovely, and there's not a lot I can tell you again without really spoiling it. So what I want to do is just leave you with a impression. And the impression I can give you is it's wonderful and you should get it. Basically. Like there's nothing much more I can say.
If anything, just like for the music lovers, like I will spoil the opening bit is just so fucking hilarious. I was dying. It's band practice, and the guitarist is like, you guys, please come on. This riff is really cool. And a bandmate calls him out. It's like, bro, it's basically fucking Walk. So I can only imagine that it was from da 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 da, that it was basically just da 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 da. It was basically just in and around that bullshit, and he keeps trying to make a case that it's not walk, but they're like, bro, it's fucking.
He's
walk.
like, no, that's drop D. This is an E. It's like, what?
Oh god, I missed these pieces of conversation. I think there was like one issue where it was kind of like left out a little bit. Like there wasn't that music talk.
The big fight one, probably.
But yeah, it's probably the big fight one. That's probably why. But I missed that kind of bullshit, that kind of camaraderie in these books.
Like when they were calling each other like fucking fake punks and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, people are missing. But I still love it. Nice. Yeah, just a great book overall. One of our favorites. I look forward to it. It's one of the ones I honestly am like, ooh, when's the next one coming out?
Yes,
I don't
for sure.
I'm not just like, ooh, it's coming out this week. I literally look for it. So, all right, guys, and we're gonna wrap up Image.
Oh my god, no!
I'm gonna take the lead on this one. Josue, feel free to contribute at the end if you'd like.
Can I just say an opening bit before let's introduce the book.
Yeah, we're talking about Stray Dogs number 5, the final issue, written by Tony Fleeks, drawn by Trish Forstner, colored by Brad Simpson, layouts by Tone Rodriguez and Chris Burnham, with lettering by Lauren Perry.
Yeah.
Josue, go ahead and open up if you want.
I was already not okay going to get my comics yesterday, that Wednesday, the June the 23rd, mostly because when I was getting ready to go to leave, I finally put on, it was just finally hot enough up here to finally put on shorts. So I just pick up a random pair of my green shorts, and I go to reach in my pockets, and inside it was an old unused pocket poop bag from Iro. So I was already not okay. I was already very not okay.
Oh my god, dude.
So take it away, Keith. I'm already tearing up.
Okay, what cover did you get?
I got both of them. The cover A and the Friday 13th.
Nice.
Friday 13th one.
Yeah. So Stray Dogs number 5. When we last left off, we discovered that Victor has been killed and skinned. And Earl has found the Master's secret room with the heads of his former dogs all on the wall.
Yeah.
The Master shows up, yells at Earl, points a shotgun at him, and Earl redeems himself by attacking the Master. And I thought, great, that was Earl's redemption. No. We'll talk about it. So the other dogs are like, shit, we need to get out of here. Everybody's here but Earl and Imogen. And so Earl's running. He's running down the stairs, and they're like, it's locked. We can't get out. And the Master gets his shotgun. He's about to shoot him. And then Imogen, looking like a full-on bear, fucking tackles the Master. So dope. Pushes him down the stairs. He falls down. He's bleeding from the head. And they're all like, run. And then Earl, god damn it, Earl, who we were like, fucking Earl, like 2 issues ago, we're like, fuck him, fucking asshole. So he literally blows straight through the window to provide an escape for everybody else. They're all going through, they're all like, watch out for the glass and everything. Earl's all cut to shit. And he's like, run. And then Sophie's like, I gotta get my lady's scarf, which is kind of dumb of her, but it's a dog. Yeah. And then when the Master is starting to get up, the Master gets up. There's too much traffic on the road, so they can't cross and get away. Like how they literally say, "Oh no, let's back up." Roxanne was injured, was shot, but grazed. She's like, "I'm fine," and then she's down. He's pointing a gun at her. And that's when Sophie does her bit and bites the Master on the leg.
Yeah.
He kicks her away, and they're like, how do we... And yeah, then that's when we get the line that I was like, oh no. Rusty says, how do we make them stop talking about the cars? And then Earl, Jesus Christ. I'm going to start crying. Earl literally just throws himself onto the road and gets hit by a car.
All of them, basically, yeah.
He causes like a 12-car pileup, which I work for an insurance company. Thanks, Earl. But anyways, so Earl dies. It's sad. That's all you need to know. We don't need to we don't need to make each other cry. We're on camera with each other. I'm trying not to look at you. So, and then they all howl sadly. The Master comes out to get them. He's bleeding from the neck. There's a lady there, and they're all like, lady, leave, go. This guy's dangerous. And then he falls over dead. They're trying to figure out exactly what to do. Some cops show up, and they're like, shit, then you know about the bodies. And then there's a canine cop, and they're like, hey, there's bodies over here. He's like, where? Okay. And then he goes, Nick's credit, which I thought was great.
Yeah, that was actually a good moment.
He's like, I'm on this. So And then we cut to an awesome epilogue, which I think after how sad that was, this epilogue was great. I think it was a great palate cleanser.
It's literally where it got me.
Really, so I was gonna say. So Sophie's like running in a park, and she runs into another dog, and it's Rusty, and they don't recognize each other.
Yeah,
but they're kind of like, "Don't I know you?" And then you find out they've both been adopted. They were both rescues. They got adopted, and they play, and they're like, "Oh, is he your boyfriend? Do you love him?" And they're going, and then she kind of turns back and looks sad, and then goes back with them. Jesus Christ, dude. Just summing up this book has made me upset.
Yeah, no, this last part really got me. It was just the way Sophie was just running around. It was literally Iroh. The way they were just talking about her, like he's so chill or she's so chill, and it just ended. She's a rescue, and my fucking Iroh just preferred bigger dogs. So it's kind of like seeing Sophie with Rusty in the park was just a little too much. Like, sorry, it's just like I've been waiting to say this on the show too. Just like to just bring out Iroh again. Just the fact that they didn't remember each other was what made it for me. It was
what they did.
What made it sweet for me, because in the end, it was just like I was just thinking of like something that Sochi and I would constantly say to each other. It was just like, we met Iroh when he was 8, and with all injuries and all scarred up the way he was, just give us that personality that he was, not skittish. It just made me think that it just makes us think that we gave him like such a good life that he just completely forgot everything. And this is like almost like them, like after all that trauma, like they were able to find like their home to just like not remember like who like their friends were, like in this trying fucking times. And yeah, like, there's like a vague resemblance there, and they did remember in the end. But that first one where like, oh, I have no idea who you are, and that's like the happy moment that they found their happy homes. Oh fuck, I was a mess at this. Like I was like, the whole thing was just like so tragic. Girl, yeah, redemption like earned. But then these last 3 pages were just like, I was just torn the fuck up. Oh god, I miss Iris so much.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, it was brutal. As soon as I read it, I'm like, fuck, Josue's gonna die. Like, I was like, oh no. Like, so, but it was really well done. I'm very excited. I really hope these two keep working together.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they are, right? With
oh, I totally missed that.
Dude, check out the last page.
Oh god. Okay, apparently there's an announcement in the back about Stray Dog Days, which is that Other Henry?
Yeah.
That is Other Henry. I love Other Henry. He's great.
Yeah, no, because in my crying,
maybe we do like one shots for each one. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be cool. In my crying, I was going through all the names, all the puppy faces, and at the end, it was just like a harder tear fell down because I was just like ready to just write off Tony and Trish forever and just be like, oh motherfucker, now I gotta buy this fucking book too. I'm not ready.
Yeah. So, Tony and Trish, if you're listening, give Josue a break. Like, make it a happy one, okay?
No, that was happy. It made me think like all the best moments of Ira at the end. So it was perfect. It was really beautiful. Yeah. Honestly, thank you, Tony and Trish.
Yeah, it was an absolutely wonderful book. We really enjoyed it. So, all right, that wraps up our indies.
Yes.
Josue, let's talk about DC. Okay. And guys, we have 8 DC books this week, and if that doesn't say a lot about the direction DC Comics is going, I don't know what does. So DC, keep up the good work. You're actually holding our interest.
Though.
What were you saying?
It might fucking change for me though. all 4 books are $5. Like, when did the spike go up again?
Are you getting the premium covers?
Oh, not for 2 of them. I mean, but one of them isn't.
Aren't they $3.99 but $4.99 for the premium covers? I thought they were. I always get the premium covers. So
it's $5. All of them are $5.99. 2 of them are the premium covers. One of them is an event book, so I get that. But then the Wonder Woman book is kind of like, I guess it does have like the Baby Diana stories too. I guess it's a little bit bigger, but still,
it's a lot.
It's a fucking lot.
So let's launch into it. We'll do our solo books first. I have 4 solo books. Oh boy. Ruby Justice League number 3.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a cool cover.
Yeah, we got the Flash with Ruby. So Ruby's thing is that she is the speedster. So it's cool to match her up with Flash. Ruby's bombing around with Bat Ears Bruce Wayne, which is still Amazing. And they actually run into Jesse Quick. Jesse Quick is like a Fox person in this world, but she's not actually a speedster. She pretends to be the Flash to convince people the Flash doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So basically, they found out that two of the characters I love the most that haven't been in the book. I actually complained, man, I wish they were in the book. They actually appear in this book, and it appears like they're being brainwashed and like controlled by the bad guys. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, Ruby hangs out with Bruce and the Flash, and then Weiss hangs out with Diana. So Weiss is my favorite character, and they run into Cyborg. Now, those of you might know, I don't really like Cyborg as a character at all, short of the Teen Titans cartoons. That's basically the only time I've ever really liked him. They don't really do much with Cyborg. He's just Cyborg. He's just like everybody else has like some cool thing. Like see, like Wonder Woman. They one of the big deals is they make that Wonder Woman is created. So like she has like machine parts inside of her. Like she's not a real person and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they do kind of cool, unique things and different looks. And Cyborg is literally just Cyborg. And I'm like, but I mean, maybe because I don't really care about him at all, anyways. You know. So the one thing they do is he's using dust, which is like this magical stuff in this world, to power his parts. So, in the end, Weiss and Cyborg are kind of flirting. It's kind of weird. It's awkward. So, but I'm enjoying it. I love Ruby, and matchup with Justice League is really interesting. I was wondering how it would work, and it's actually working out pretty well so far. And I'm just curious to see where it goes. I will say that the creative team is Marguerite Bennett writing, Emanuela Lupacino penciling, and okay, this is the best name in comics. Don't at me. The inker's name is Wade von Grawbadger.
Fuck yeah.
It's the best name in comics. Colorist is Hi-Fi, and the lettering is Gabriella Downey. So, also Mirka Andolfo did the cover.
Oh, nice.
So, perfect. Next up is Harley Quinn, number 4. Check out this Pride cover.
Oh, that is so pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an Anka? Like Chris Anka?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Good eye. Written by Stephanie Phillips. Second Stephanie book this week. Art and original cover by Riley Rossmo. Color by Ivan Placencia and letter by Andworld. And yes, I did get the Chris Anka cover. So, we're continuing the story with Dr. Hugo Strange versus Harley Quinn, where they're both trying to redeem the clowns. Harley Quinn plays and I'm not joking when I say this sentence, a game of sewer chess with Solomon Grundy, which is pretty funny. And we just get an idea of what Hugo Strange is doing to the clowns. There's some pretty funny parts, because one thing I really enjoy about Harley Quinn, the character, is when she does get a little Deadpool-y.
Okay.
Where she gets a little meta and she's like portrays a character in her own head. I dig that with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this. It's her standing on the roof like this, and you can see the look on her face.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, it's all in bold. The humid night air smells of the harbor underneath the concealed stench of rot.
Of
this
course.
city, my city, is filled with monsters and men, some more monster than man. But soon my city will learn that Batman has constant laryngitis from talking like this. And then she switches back. She's like, I mean, could you imagine if I talked like that? And she's like all morose and possessive. What's with this constant ownership over Gotham? It's like, I feel like we should unpack that another time. I'm like, yes. So I really enjoyed this. I say it every time, but I'm not a Harley fan. But man, this series is doing a really good job of working on me, is what I'll say. So
it's Stephanie Phillips' book, right?
Yeah, it's Stephanie Phillips. That helps. And the Riley Rossmo art is wonderful. So
she just kicks ass, man. She literally just like does like her own like practicing roller derby. So it's like she's just such a badass.
Yeah, I've never disliked a Stephanie Phillips book. So.
Yeah.
Okay, that takes me to Detective Comics 1038. Written, as always, by the wonderful Mariko Tamaki. Penciled by Victor Bogdanovich. Inked by Victor as well as Daniel Henriques. Colored by Jordi Belair and lettered by Aditya Bidikar. So we're continuing the story with Batman, where with Lady Clayface and the rich lady that died and everything, and her father trying to kill Batman. Basically, Batman's able to get the rich man who's trying to kill him arrested for trying to kill him. The guy gets out of jail immediately, basically. And Batman's trying to figure out what the hell he has to do, what's going on here. And yeah, it's just more of that struggle, and it's really cool. There's also something going on with the Penguin in the background that's going to be happening, which is really interesting. Yeah, and so this guy doesn't know that Bruce is Batman, so he actually wants to kill both Bruce Wayne and Batman. So that's ironic. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying it. I absolutely love the way that Lady Clayface is drawn in this book. So, like, you can see her there.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, when she kind of crumbles a bit, you can see it down there.
Ooh, oh, totally. No, that's a great design.
It's so cool and haunted looking. I love it. So, a really good book. I'm really enjoying it. It's Detective Comics. It's Batman. You know, I knew I was going to sign up for a Batman ongoing, and when they told me Mariko Tamaki was writing one, I decided that's the one I'm going to get. So, really good. Next up, I picked up Checkmate #1.
Ooh, cool.
Do you know anything about Checkmate?
I remember I looked at it, but then I wasn't 100% familiar with like the whole roster, so I was like, yeah, I don't want to be lost in this book.
Do you know anything about the history of the organization?
Oh no,
it's kind of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So I got this sexy fucking cover of Green Arrow.
Oh yeah, no, that's really cool.
And you thought that the other book had the Powers Reunion. That's like a power team up. Check this team up. Written by Brian Michael Bendis. Drawn by. Let me make sure I'm gonna get the whole group up. Drawn by Alex Maleev.
Oh, this is a Maleev and Bendis book. Yes.
And then it's actually. It gets better because Dave Stewart does the coloring. Dave Stewart's amazing.
Yeah.
And then Josh Reed does the lettering. This is going to be so good.
Oh,
I highly recommend people jump on now. If you like spy books, if you're really into like the Black Widow runs, not so much the newest one because it's not so much a spy book. It's just like a cool character study. I mean, I guess it's kind of a spy book. But like, I don't want to always refer to the Hawkeye Fraction run. But if you like a lot of the good S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, if you're a big fan of Secret Warriors with less powers,
oh yeah, okay, cool,
that kind of stuff. Like, so basically, they're reforming Checkmate because there's now a new organization that's basically the intelligence organization around the world and taking over, and it's being led by the original guy that was Manhunter, which is Mark Shaw. So now a new team arises to stop him. And the first two people we see are Damien and Talia.
Oh, shit.
Working together, kind of.
Yeah.
And then they get captured, and they get put in a little bubble. We'll get back to them. Then we meet the rest of the cast, which is the new Manhunter, who is a woman. We get the King, who is mysterious. We get Colonel Steve Trevor.
Okay.
Playing the Coulson role. We get Director Bones, which is great. We get Green Arrow. We get the original Question, Vic.
Okay.
And we get Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Really cool group shot you can see here. So.
Yeah, it's a cool assortment of characters. Yeah.
Yeah. And just an idea of the art that they're working with. And basically, yeah, they're trying to infiltrate this because it's Leviathan is the new group, by the way. And they're basically doing everything. And so, like, literally he captures Talia and Robin. Robin's hanging upside down. But, of course, it's Robin, so he says, you're under arrest. Even though he's completely...
Just so you know, I call dibs and you're under arrest.
I just love Damien, so... and then, like, it's really cool. There's a lot of, like, stuff. Like, Lois is talking to one of her coworkers. And she finds out the coworker basically tells her, I work for Leviathan. And she's like, how long have you and Leviathan, how long have you been Leviathan and working here? And the lady's like, I don't work here anymore. I was just here to deliver this to you. And it was like a hologram. And it all comes back to Lois's dad, who recently passed away. There's something going on. It's going to be cool. It's going to be spy thriller. It's so good. I'm really excited about it. So, yep. All right. Josue has a solo DC book in Wonder Woman 774. Go for it.
Yes, Wonder Woman 774. Hey, look at that. I get an actual credits page on the opening page. How nice of DC. Written by Michael W. Conrad and Mickey Clunan. Art by Andy McDonald. And colors by Nick Filardi. Lettering by Pat Brazo. So, Wonder Woman is back finally at Olympus. And as she was told constantly that she needed to go home, she finally finds out why, and it's all gone to shit. Literally, Olympus is in just ruins. Not only that, she finds out that the little trickster squirrel, Ratatas, that came with her from Asgard, finally confesses to her that she was supposed to, like, because it's supposed to be, like, yeah, it's Mount Olympus, but it's supposed to be, like, the afterlife, because, to my surprise, we're still in the chapter called Afterworlds. So I was still happy to see my LARPing name here. So it's kind of like, oh shit, let's fucking do a long run here. I'd be so down for a long run of a title here to open up with this. So Ratatosk fucking confesses that she was supposed to come here after the whole like the quintessence thing, and was it Infinite Frontier Zero or for the whole like for Future State whatever. And she was supposed to end up here, like I said. But instead, Ratatas kind of like saw her coming and decided to bring her to Asgard by accident on purpose, so she can maybe and then maybe not help out with the tree Yggdrasil. And she is pissed because the whole time, yeah, she had those warnings. There's like, yo, you were supposed to come home, or obviously that wasn't her setting, but her being Diana that she is, she had to help out the cause there too.
Yeah.
So now she's here, and now she's like, well, fuck. And it's like I maybe could have averted all of this, and she's not wondering, like now she's wondering where the fuck are all the gods. And when she breaks through, she finds the fucking rod, the medical rod, the rod with the fucking snake coiled up. She finds it and then right next to that, there's a person who's just like kind of caved in, has like a giant boulder on top of him, heals him, and it turns out that it's Janus, God of transitions, beginnings and endings. And in this case, Janus actually split while Diana was gone. And in this case, the split version of Janus just went completely dark side, took over the mantle that Diana was supposed to take in this afterworld in this case. But because she never showed up, Janus did, and then just started. She basically this Janus got like their own weapon, not the God Killer, but the God Scraper instead. And it looks just like a cool little sigh.
Huh.
And basically just like wreaks havoc all over Olympus. And Diana's like not having it. There's also a slightly different Diana. She starts referring, maybe because she's still pissed at him, but she starts referring to Ratatosk as the squirrel or like the rat. Even as she's leaving, like, hey, squirrel, watch him as I go handle this. It's like, oh well, shit. I guess she's either really pissed, or now because of the setting, she's like now taking almost like a different dialogue in a way.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she goes to at least one place that for sure wasn't going to be touched, and goes to like Athena's place for for her reflecting pool, and calls up fucking Deadman Boston Brand. And meanwhile, Boston Brand is literally just having a poker night with literally somebody else. And she's like, again, super pissed, like, yo, why the fuck didn't you tell me I had to fucking come here soon? Fucking now, fucking yesterday. And Deadman is like, dude, those moments I was talking to you were those spurt moments when you were dead. And also, I'm on borrowed fucking time. I can't be telling you every detail. And meanwhile, you're asking me bullshit questions on you being confused on where you're at. So, so she's like, all right, fuck it, point taken. I need you to help me out in this case. And he was like, all right, fine. So now they're gonna meet up in hell at like Olympus Hell. So I guess in Hades, literally, like Diana just finds like an elevator and literally goes down. Starts descending down. Boston meets up with is already kind of there at the elevator, and you get a really cool scene where as they're like descending into Hades, you see all the tortured souls. And one of them literally calls out like, Wonder Woman, like, I'm sorry, like, was this really worth it? Like, look at me. And Diana feels bad. Like, he's like, yo, like, that fucking sucks. Like, that's literally torture. And Boston's like, has to re-explain to her, and like, that's the price of the punishment. You might not like what the punishment is, but you were there to cast that judgment upon them. And that's how it works. You don't change that no matter how you feel about it. This is literally what it equaled out to for all their wrongdoings.
Right.
And now on her turn, all right, point taken, I guess. And now they arrived at Hell to figure out where the gods are. And in one of the sickest last pages.
Oh, that is dope.
Yeah, it is so sick. And yeah, they're about to mince words with this person or this deity. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed this Wonder Woman book. I was really kind of like sad that we were leaving Asgard. I just like that setting. I like loved her outfit. But now this new mystery in Olympus is really cool. I'm into it.
Nice. Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about DC books that we share. I got Teen Titans Academy #4, Josue.
Dude,
what cover did you get?
The Pride one is so good.
We had to get it. It's so perfect.
I was scanning them. It's like Stitch better be fucking on that rooftop, and good. The last one
right at the end. Yeah,
they're right at the end.
So, Teen Titans Academy 4. By the way, I have a new theory who Red X is. We're going to talk about in a moment.
Ooh, I kind of had one too, but I kind of confused two people for one.
Written by Tim Sheridan, drawn by Steve Lieber, colored by Dave Stewart, and lettered by Rob Lay. So we have the Bat Pack, which is the group that is going to figure out who is Red X. And this was a fun book because it was a good way of giving us a little bit about all these different characters.
Yes.
Like it checked in with a bunch of the characters that we know and give us an idea of who they are and stuff. Stitch basically stole the story.
Oh my god, yes.
They were wonderful. They kept cutting in on the narration.
Just because they can?
Just because they can, yeah. But yeah, we found out a little bit more about Matt, including what his powers are. He can fly and he can punch too. So, I mean, that's most DC characters. But they're going through it. It's just fun. And again, it really is a great character development story, trying to figure out who it is. We also get quite a bit with Billy Batson about how he can't transform anymore.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So that was interesting, and knowing what we know about the future of Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, and we get little character tidbits. We won't go through all of them, but about who they are and what they do and stuff. Really enjoyed it. And at the end, they go to basically, they're going to go talk to, I think Billy. Yeah, they're breaking into Billy's room, right? And they open the door. No, they saw Billy. Billy walked past. So like, well, it's not Billy. And they look in, and Red X is in there.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, and then I love that Stitch pops in one last time. Oh, snap. He's like, hey. So I love this book. This was a lot of fun, and it's worth the price of admission for the cover alone. It's just wonderful.
Oh, totally. So, I'm so glad that we're past. I thought it was going to be like a 2-parter bullshit crossover with the Suicide Squad thing again. But no, this is like a much more like, this is exactly why I love this book. One detail I missed on the first spread with like the possibility.
Oh, God, I poured over that thing.
I just noticed Booster Gold.
Yeah. Because he's a douche.
The fact that he's just considered is so fucking funny. No, honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know why the sketch of like the reveal. I don't know why they made him look like Damien more than Nightwing.
Yeah, that's great. So, no, there's lots of little fun things in there if you look at it too long, like I do. I like that Nightwing's picture is the picture of his butt. Like that's just perfect. I like that Beast Boy's picture is a picture of him as a little marmot or something. Like, yeah, just really fun. Like lots of stuff to look at. So, okay, my new theory.
Yes.
I think that Roy Harper is Red X.
Dude, I was thinking it was one of Oliver's kids too. One of Oliver's little legacies.
They keep, instead of saying Teen Titans Academy or just the school, every character keeps referring to it as the Roy Harper Academy.
Yes.
And it's like they want to keep that name in our heads.
Yeah.
And I think, and he also, his skills would match what Red X does.
Skills would match, yep.
And also because in another book we'll talk about in a bit, we see that Roy Harper is alive.
Yes.
So
honestly, I was thinking the same way. It was, and that's when I was thinking it was either that or maybe. That's why I was kind of like, wait, but they're not the same. But
nah, I don't know, Connor, man. I don't know. We'll talk about him.
The setting where Connor is at right now would match Red X.
Okay. Let's just jump straight over to that because next up is Robin 3.
Before we move on, there was the fucking list, the stupid fucking list that was just so funny. on who Red X could be. Like, it was like, they're, well, Red X, like,
Yeah.
well, it was Stitch's stupid, fucking...
Yeah. I love it because it was straight up Strange Academy, which, again, we compare these two to each other a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't care. They're both great. So, like, but it's straight up like the stuff at the end of Strange Academy every issue.
Oh,
like
when they're discovering that it could be Matthew Price, and it's like, quote unquote, price equals X amount of dollars. Coincidence?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Fucking Stitch. I love them.
Yeah. All right. So Robin 3. Written by Joshua Williamson, art by Gleb Melnikoff, color by Luis Guerrero, and lettered by Troy Pateri. So Robin's still on the island where he can die but come back to life occasionally. And Rose is there, and she gives him a mission to make a friend, which I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Damian trying to make friends.
Yeah.
And he kind of almost makes a friend a couple times, and then basically the conversation turns into how Batman beat the crap out of everybody there.
Yeah.
And they keep calling him, oh, your dad, and he's like, he's not my dad. Like, he's just trying to be like, I have a secret identity, please. Like, so and then he runs into Connor Hawke. Now, full disclosure, I fucking love Connor Hawke. I love everything about Green Arrow. It's one of my favorite DC things. So I was very excited to see this. And he's just dramatic, just like Damian. So they sit there and try to out-dramatic each other. They're both trained by the League of Assassins and stuff. And I love the bit, this fucking full page.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm here too.
Was incredible. Where they're basically just comparing notes of how bad their lives were. And it's just great. Did your father die only to be resurrected? Yes. Does your father always think he's right? Always. Your father have a thing for themed vehicles? Yep. Yours has a cave? Used to. Like, putting children in danger? Always. Like, my dad has a thing about fishnets. My father, it's whips and leather. Lots of leather. Like,
and then they just start laughing at them. And just, like, I love that moment.
It's so good. And then, of course, the League of Shadows shows up and is just like, let's shit all over this and make you fight each other.
Yeah.
Like, so they fight, even though they're not supposed to at night. Mm-hmm. And then Connor throws Damian off a cliff. And he's not going to die. Basically, the plan is he won't die. He'll just be very injured. So he won't heal. And he says, Father Pennyworth. And then, he gets caught. And it's like, I have you, son. And then he wakes up on the beach with bandages on. And he says, you found me, Father? And then we get, goddamn, what a reveal.
Close.
Ra's al Ghul. We have finally reunited, my grandson. I have much to teach you. And it's such a great drawing.
Oh, yeah. He looks so badass.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Oh, me
I love
too.
the Al Ghul family. I think they're one of the most interesting things about Batman's villains, really. And they're not really used well most of the time.
Yeah.
And they could be so much better.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So that's dope. What do you think?
Honestly, I really like the whole thing, and yeah, I mean, just based on the setting, kind of being like a killer island, it just brought up when I was already thinking Roy, it just brought up that maybe Connor Hawke is also like slipping by in and out of into the academy as well as Red X. But in this case, it's just like this book was just really good. Like the moment between them two is like go find a friend, but then it's like you can't just force a friendship like that, especially like when kids are just so fucking awkward. It just needs to organically happen. And like the way it literally happened organically by just dishing their own dads was just so fucking good. No, I love this book too. I didn't think I was going to like this book as much as I do, but holy shit, it's really cool. Even down to like, not Ravager, but I would love like maybe shipping Robin and Flatline. Just like the way they just like interact with each other is like, they're just adorable. Little killers.
I always in my head imagine that after they both grew up, Damian would end up with Stephanie, but that's because I hate Tim. And there was a point where they were teaming up a lot, and it was adorable.
I literally realized that I'm not reading one, but then I realized I don't think there is one, because I have a Nightwing book, we have a Damian book, and we have a Jason book, but there's no Tim book.
There's got to be one. There's always one.
and then the many Batman books.
Yeah, I'd have to double check. So, but yeah, you might be right. So, all right, let's move on to our last DC book, which is Infinite Frontier #1, written by Joshua Williamson, illustrated by Zermanico, colored by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and lettered by Tom Napolitano. just going to get this out of the way. There's a lot going on in this book. I'm going to blow through it as quick as I can. We're not going to talk about everything. We'll be here all night. Basically, we're setting up the new normal. The multiverse has returned, and one of the big things is the multiverse is known to the general public. They know that there's a multiverse, which is interesting. I think that's actually a really cool storyline. So, first thing we see is Flashpoint Batman's back. I hate Flashpoint Batman. Get rid of him. Flashpoint wasn't good. Does no one understand this? Like the only people that liked Flashpoint are the people that liked the Snyder Cut. Okay? And it's not a coincidence because it was grim and bloody and unnecessary and no one liked it. Okay? I don't need him. He already killed Alfred. Like, he already ruined Bane's character. Get rid of him, please. So anyways, moving on. After my rant. We get some really cool appearances. We get to see Alan Scott and Obsidian, which is fun. I absolutely love that we have both a father and a son who both come out as gay in the same story. It's a unique story they have to tell. They both did it, it's kind of interesting to deal with that. It's really good there. I like those two characters anyways. They're meeting up with Jade. Something happens. We get a tease for Checkmate, which is the page with...
Oh, that's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. So that would make a lot more sense if you were over there. So if you're reading that. So it's really good. We get some bits with the fucking Justice Incarnate.
Yeah.
With Captain Carrot from Earth 26. I remember Captain Carrot, and that's funny to me. And someone who's definitely legally distinct from Iron Man. And then Flash runs to the last world, the Earth Omega, the one where we saw, the Quintessence are all killed. And he finds the dead bodies of the Quintessence. He runs into Psycho Pirate, which is cool. I love when Flash rogues come out of nowhere because they're just so much fun. I'm then reminded that the Batman who laughs is the one that caused all this nonsense. And remember that I didn't read that. Yeah. And basically it's kind of a big thing. It's a big crossover one and a lot's going on. But one of the coolest things is the very end, the very last page. The most mundane
part of it all.
What'd you say?
The most mundane part of it all.
Yeah. When we see Roy Harper's alive.
Yeah.
And they're like, is it Speedy or Red Arrow now? And I'm like, it's Red X, motherfucker. So there's a big fight, a big attack. And then all of a sudden, there's this some force field people show up and save him. It's a bunch of smoke, and he's like, "Whoever you are, thanks for the save. Hello." And then we see, wait, am I mistaken, or is that a Black Lantern?
Oh, that's a Black Lantern.
Fuck yeah, I love Black Lantern.
It's right, the color thing. But yeah, the symbol itself, yeah, for sure, Black Lantern.
Yeah, no, I loved the War of the Black Lanterns, that whole arc. Brightest Day, both Darkest Night or Blackest Night and Brightest Day were both great. Mm-hmm. So, more Roy Harper.
I did this for Pride, but I specifically added this pink one because I wanted to do the Spectrum.
That's awesome. So, yeah, dude. Really good. I like it. It's going to be continuing to go, so we're going to get more stories out of it. Hopefully, with more characters being featured. What'd you think? I know it was a lot. So
this one is definitely a lot, and if it is like a reboot, resetting, reestablishment of the DC universe, so I'm definitely going to be probably 2 steps behind on a lot of characters, a lot of events, or a lot of dialogue for sure. As I was, but still, I very much enjoyed what I saw. I know I'm not entirely idiot on the characters, so I can definitely follow along. But then now presenting the new stuff, in the end, just definitely talk about Roy with the Black Lantern. It's what the fuck is that about? And I definitely want this is the stuff that's going to make it super fucking interesting.
Yeah, and I think that DC is showing what their priorities are.
Oh yeah.
Book. So yeah. All right, guys, we're going to move to Marvel. We are going to get through this as quick as we can for you. But we do have a stack. So Josue, I want you to start off for me at Amazing Spider-Man 69/870.
Yes, writers being Nick Spencer and Ed Bryson, and pencils by Zed Carlos, and then Carlos Gomez, and then Marcelo Ferreira. So yeah, we're at the penultimate chapter of the Chameleon Conspiracy. So we're gonna get we're on part 3, and then the next one it's gonna be the same thing as King's Ransom. We're gonna get a giant size Amazing Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy. So to set everything for there, I'm just gonna go by this one really quick. It's we're still with his sister Teresa, and how she's over there with the Chameleon and the Finisher, and the Finisher is explaining like more truths about their parents' deaths. And meanwhile, Spider-Man is trying to get this clairvoyant and his friend Jamie out of the sticky situation where it's the Foreigner, Chance, and now Slide, the slippery dude. And he's just having a hard time because it's like all he wants is just like he doesn't care about losing this fight. He just wants Jamie just to get the fuck out of there, but he's not. And in the last moment, Jamie literally pops up the clairvoyant, and because it's a clairvoyant device that makes you be omnipotent, but for some reason it can also shoot beams. So Spider-Man gets shot with it. Yay! Oh no! And Jamie kind of joins the bad guys because he owes them a lot of shit. So he's behind, and come back to Teresa, and there's like some truce. But anyway, back to Spider-Man. He's just, since right now he's like lost and doesn't know how to find Jamie, he goes to the only person that can't help him right now, and it's apparently Ned Leeds, because he's the one that the whole backstory with the Foreigner. Again, a lot of fucking history that's being brought up. So because the Foreigner's being involved, Ned is kind of like, all right, cool, I'm in. Back with the bad guys. Basically, while Chance is celebrating, the little army of jack-o'-lanterns steal the clairvoyant device, and they've been working for the Finisher. This all basically ties up together. And so yeah, screw the bad guys. It's all to the Finisher. And now where we've been with Teresa basically infiltrated this like Russian prison to get to the Chameleon and kill him, only for the Chameleon to be like, hey, hold on, I have something you want. Shows him the Finisher, and there was like a weird holographic room where the Finisher shows up, so she can't really kill him either. But then in this case, we get revealed that this wasn't really a prison. Like the hologram reveals more of itself, and she basically kind of played into their hand, and now she's kind of trapped there with them, and even like the Finisher kind of pulls one on the Chameleon. Where they end up, where the fuck do they go? Basically, where they end up is it's even somewhere Chameleon doesn't want to be. Like, he's like, I told you I never want to come back to this place. But this place apparently is where the Finisher has maybe created a bunch of other chameleon-like people.
Oh, fuck.
And even drops, now let's discuss the truth about you. And again, it makes me wonder, it's like, when did this sister really show up? Like, how did this sister show up? And even me, who reads Spider-Man, was also kind of confused on her introduction. So, man,
it kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest.
Yeah, so if they kind of pull this one like from under us like this, it's like, oh, it'll kind of make a lot of sense. So I guess we'll get some closing thoughts. So some closing actual like chapters with this one. It being like the actual penultimate arc for Nick Spencer, because then for sure the next 5 issues. This is issue 69. The next one will be the giant size, and then being 70, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 issues, and he wraps up in issue 74. Yeah, for the penultimate arc is like I think we're gonna get a lot of bombs dropped in the next giant size, just to set up the finale.
Nice. Okay. Next, Final Fantasy. I do it every time. Fantastic Four. I just put FF. Oh, okay. So I always read it as Final Fantasy. FF Life Story 2. Yeah, FF Life Story 2. This one by Mark Russell. Artist is Sean Izakse. And coloring by Nolan Woodard. Lettering by Joe Caramagna. So, in Life Story, in this case where Marvel time actually moves in our time, now we're in the 70s. And in this case, God, I'm actually really happy. I'm mostly happy about the chapter. I'm mostly happy for Sue. In this case, in the 70s, Reed is still very much obsessed about the whole Galactus thing, and everybody's kind of tired of hearing it. He literally has like a whole conference at at a Stark thing, and even the audience kind of like, again with this shit. So they had after that, like there's a whole part with like a meet and greet. Where Reed needs more backers, or needs more people to believe in this shit.
And one person that doesn't believe in him but still wants to work with him is Hank Pym. Hank Pym literally calls the whole Galactus thing kind of crazy, but he has this bright idea about going to Chernobyl and investigating the radioactive ants because there might be a thing there. He's not crazy. So, and then this is where we get introduced to Victor Von Doom. And he basically like, yo, I believe you with this Galactus bullshit. Let's work together. And throughout this whole decade, it becomes this thing, like the adventures of the Fantastic Four and everything that they've been doing. You get to see some of some callbacks. But meanwhile, this whole issue is to the point of Sue and how it's Sue literally being neglected, and in these times being real times, it's just so much more apparent. Literally pun intended, because she's like Reed literally just sees her as the person who should be looking after Franklin because he's too busy. There's a whole.
That's what he does.
Yeah, that's literally what he does. There's a moment with at least like she's hanging out with Johnny, and Johnny's like, "Yo, are you gonna come out tomorrow?" I was like, "Wait, to what? Like to the superhero gathering?" And she gets pissed because she didn't hear about it, and it's like literally storms into Reed's office and be like, "What the fuck?" Like oh, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I decided for the both of us, we were both going to be ended up being too busy anyway, so that's what didn't happen." It's like, whoa, you don't get to fucking decide for me on this shit. I kind of wanted to go to this, so I am gonna go to this thing. So, oh man, it just gets really fucking real. It's like a little bit. And so when she goes to the Avengers Mansion, it's Johnny, Cap, T'Challa. Enter Namor. Enter sweet, sexy Namor.
Homewrecker. And I mean that as a compliment in this case.
In this whole, there's a moment where Sue was attending an ERA rally, as it was the 70s, and this is when she gets called home because Daddy couldn't be Daddy, and she literally leaves to go home. So so cut back to after the Avengers Mansion meeting the Avengers or having like that group thing and meeting Namor. Just because she was already in town, there was a book signing of one of her favorite authors, Betty Friedan, and for the feminine mystique. Mm-hmm. And as she's talking to her, I was like, oh, like she recognized, like the author recognized, like, oh shit, Sue Storm, the Fantastic Four. I actually haven't heard about you in the past few years. How you been? Well, I've been keeping busy. Glad you're here. Here's your book. And when she opens it, the dedication was actually, "Don't stay invisible forever. Love, Betty." Like she literally saw through her bullshit. Aww. And yeah, and it got her thinking. There was she was there for there was a giant press thing. T'Challa because the whole reason why the Avengers got together because there was going to be a press thing, and then they really wanted Sue there as she was the most prominent woman superhero. They're like Namor was the one's like, yo, how about you actually stand up there and speak for half of the population, since it's not just a sausage fest. And right. And it got her thinking. It almost got her reflecting back on when she had to leave the rally, and she gives this fucking awesome speech. Of course, this whole decade has been going through Reed working really closely with Victor, when the whole time they've been creating a suit just specifically for Victor. And once the suit was done, he turns on Reed and knew about the whole committee being with all the world leaders and the superheroes. He's like, might as well just go take care of everybody and all rule the world. And that way everybody can follow me and listen to me about this whole Galactus bullshit. I guess that makes sense. Anyway, Sue pulls an invisible stunt where Victor thought he had everyone, but then Sue literally shows up with the fucking shield and just knocks him on his ass.
That's awesome.
It is super awesome, to where if you're fucking up and your partner is holding the Star Spangled Shield and says, "Reed, we need to talk," you're gonna fucking listen. Yeah. You're gonna fucking listen. And a year later, they stayed separate. They separated, and Reed moves in with Ben. They're having basically a bachelor night, eating cereal. And Franklin, and meanwhile, Sue is driving just at least an hour away. So Franklin's not that far away from, I guess, quote unquote, dad. Because there's like a little swap earlier in the issue. Franklin calls him Dr. Richards because obviously he's not around, and that's the only name he hears. And Sue is like, "Oh, it's Daddy." So, but now that it's like the split, as she's trying to comfort him, she's like, "You'll see Dr. Richards on the weekend, Franklin. Daddy, his name is Daddy," and he's like kind of pouting. It's like, "Oh man." Also, because maybe an hour away in this new beach pad, it might just be with homewrecker Namor.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't think Namor will be that discreet around Franklin, which is like the only thing that actually sucks about the situation. But anyway, just to leave it off on the issue, Reed gets a call that NASA, or no, not NASA, the Arecibo, the giant telescope, is picking up something big, something that's headed to Earth. And Reed just freaks out about, again, Galactus bullshit. So, Reed, just be there for your family, dude. Just like, don't be such a fucking asshole.
It's true.
It's so true. I mean, honestly, I'm glad. I was kind of expecting this. I was hoping this shit would happen, at least for Reed to wake the fuck up and be a human being for once.
Yeah.
But I was expecting it at issue 3, maybe issue 4. I'm so fucking happy it happened here in the 70s on issue 2.
Yeah. Well, they got to have Valeria, so.
Yeah.
Or Valeria.
Valeria, yeah.
So, yeah. All right, great. Kicking over to my Marvel solos. I have a couple, so I'm going to go through them as quick as I can. Web of Spider-Man 2. It feels like the first issue just came out.
Yeah.
But we got the second issue. Written by Kevin Shinnick. Artist is Alberto Jimenez Albuquerque. Colored by Rochelle Rosenberg. Letter by Travis Lanham. It is building on the same story with this team of young geniuses, and they're working together to, invent things. In this case, they get hacked, and there's like a computer virus trying to steal their stuff. They're able to finally stop the computer virus, but they have to like knock out the power. And who shows up but Iron Man to basically be like, why does none of Manhattan's East Side have power? Basically, so yeah, it's fun. It's a good fun book. It's an issue 2 though. Don't go into too much detail about those. Gamma Flight number 1. This is spinning out of the pages of the Immortal Hulk.
Yes.
Written by Al Ewing and Crystal Frazier. Art by Lan Medina. Colored by Antonio Fabella and lettering by Joe Sabino. So the team in this is Gamma Flight in comics way back in the day used to be like the secondary team to Alpha Flight.
Okay, yeah.
So they're basically like junior varsity. They weren't good enough to be on Alpha Flight. This is more based around gamma threats is the idea. Gamma powered threats. But it's still vaguely related to it. It's kind of weird. So the team is Puck. I love Puck.
Yeah.
Titania, who appears in 2 books this week. Crusher Creel, Absorbing Man. Doc Sasquatch, which is Leonard Sampson. But he's Sasquatch too.
Yeah.
And they hint at what happened, but I didn't read that, so I don't know. Dr. Charlene McGowan, who is a trans character and actually appears in the Pride book. We're going to talk about a bit. And Rick Jones. So basically, long story short, it feels kind of like the Juggernaut series that we got, where they're all kind of hanging out, and then some gamma monster shows up and is like getting attacked and stuff, and they find out it escaped from the lab that's creating all these gamma monsters, and they go to save it. And that's kind of their whole motivation. They're not really like an official team or anything like that, but they end up trying to rescue the new person, and they basically find out that they're talking about how no one's ever been successfully fully cured for gamma. Like if you have gamma powers, you always have gamma powers. It's just, it might change, but you're always going to be gamma. And they're trying to like find a way to cure that and everything. And they said the only person who's ever been fully cured was Hulk's son, Scar, from World War Hulk.
Interesting.
And they said, but he disappeared, so we don't even know if it took. He might have gotten his powers back for all we know.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, they're like talking to the girl they just rescued. They're like, wait, so that means someone they're expecting someone to collect her, someone with gamma. So that means somebody out there is building gamma mutates, and they'll adapt too. And Scar shows up.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's the one who's there to take her home. And he says, Daddy's orders. So,
Okay.
yeah. Pretty cool. I dug it. So, good start. It makes me want to go back and read Immortal Hulk now, which I have Marvel Unlimited, so I can.
Yeah.
So, next up, Silk number 4. Written by Maureen Gu, drawn by Takeshi Miyazawa, colored by Ian Zarin, and lettered by Ariana Mayer. I love the art in Silk. It's absolutely great. I love the writing too as well. But we basically get the origin story of the big bad. In the last issue, we find out that she is the daughter of Silvermane. And we find out how that happened. Basically, Silvermane goes over to Japan when business is good. He tries to make a partnership with the Japanese CEO, and she's like a rare woman CEO of the time. They hook up, they make a baby. So he basically, this character is kind of torn between running her mother's company or running her father's criminal empire. And that's kind of like her motivation. And she's struggling with, like, is she good? Is she bad? She's really immature. It's really interesting. And in the end, and she also knows who Silk is in real life. So in the end, she gets back to her house and the girl shows up and says, hey, I need your help.
Oh, shit.
So I think they're going to partner up, which is pretty cool. So I'm really enjoying this run, though. I think Silk is a really underrated like book in Marvel right now. And I think Maureen Gu is doing a really good job of bringing something out different. I think this is her first comic, actually.
That's cool.
I think she normally writes like novels and stuff. So next up, Reptile number 2. Josue, get on this book, goddammit.
I'm still late on it, yeah.
I know. Written by Terry Bloss, penciled by Enid Balam, colored by Carlos Lopez, and lettered by Joe Sabino.
I have it right here. It's literally at reaching distance. Sorry.
So again, the whole thing is Reptile wants to find his parents. He thought they were dead. A bad guy tells him, no, I know where they are. Just give me your amulet so I can have your powers. He's like, no, they have a fight. He's with his cousins, and the young female cousin like fires like a bolt of energy in the last issue.
Ooh, okay.
So that was kind of left up in the air. Like, what was that about?
Yeah.
We find out that she's actually been studying magic on her own.
Oh, sick.
And you find out that she's actually, she was inspired by Reptile because he has powers. She's like, well, if he can have powers, I can do it. So she decides to, study magic.
Go to Strange Academy, girl.
She actually drops a bunch of Strange Academy like alumni names, and I was like, interesting. And if you remember correctly, this issue also featured them getting carne asada. And yeah. So basically, they end up saving the taco stand. And the guy's like, free tacos for life, now go. And I was like, and that man went out of business 2 weeks later if I'm there. But yeah, basically they decide they have to go to this alternate dimension. It's Dinosaur World is what it's called, where his powers come from. And he's given a new costume because he doesn't have a costume anymore. He's not a hero. And his other cousin, who's this dapper young man, and I believe they still haven't confirmed that he's gay, but I'm pretty sure he's gay. He kind of hints at it several times about he was going to go to the Pride Festival and stuff like that. So, but he makes him the suit, and it's great because he's like, I mean, I'm no Jumbo Carnation, but I do all right. I'm like, I love that Jumbo is a thing now. Like that was such a joke character for a while. I love it.
It's really cool.
We get the reveal of Reptile's new suit, which is pretty cool looking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like the sleeveless. Like that's a good look. And basically, he's able to go to Dinosaur World because his cousin, who is tinkering with magic, is able to learn how to make a portal to the world.
Oh, cool.
They go there. They fight dinosaurs, as you do. They meet an old witch, and she gives him information. They're trying to go back, and a bunch of dinosaurs attack, and the only way to protect his cousins is for him to fully transform. But we know if Reptile fully transforms into a dinosaur, he loses control. So the last bit is him as a giant T-Rex and his cousin saying he's lost it. He's out of control. So we'll see where that goes. Pretty excited. So good book though. Lots of they specifically reference Chicano culture, like a lot of Chicano culture in this. So yep. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy 15. Promise I'm almost done ranting, guys. This cover, just love it. Like, I just love this book so much. The cast is fucking insane. Written by Al Ewing, drawn by Juan Frigeri, colored by Federico Blee, lettered by Corey Petit. Josue, this is a crossover with Hellfire Gala.
Okay, then I need to get it then.
Yeah. It's not much of one, but it does cross over.
I mean, something big happens. So yeah,
something big happens. Something really cool happens.
Mm-hmm.
And also something not related to the Hellfire Saga that's even bigger and cooler happens, which we'll talk about in a moment. So the Guardians are kind of split up into teams across the galaxy doing different things. Last time we checked, a bunch of Skrulls who worship a fire god sacrificed themselves. Mm-hmm. And we find out the planet they were on was actually Ego, the living planet. And Ego was sealed inside of a big black shell, basically, like an egg.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's happening there. So that's one thing we were left off on. And also, the Guardians, 2 of them are invited to be at the gala for specific reasons, which we'll talk about later. So, which is Star-Lord, representing his home planet, and Nova, who is technically a representative of Earth. So they get to the sword base, they get out, and Nova's like pissed because Nova's like, he basically is like, so we have to work with Doctor Doom because Doctor Doom is a member of the team now, and he's just talking about all these like villains that are getting a pass, and he's just like, Super Skrull is working with them now. He's like, all these ones are getting a pass, and the very first thing that happens when he gets off, he comes face to face with Abigail Van and Magneto. So, and he's just like, he literally says, Magneto went to shake his hand. He says, I'm done shaking hands with supervillains. You're going down, Magneto. And Magneto's like, I've been granted amnesty. And he's like, I don't give a damn. And he basically references this really obscure story from the 70s.
Oh my god, yeah.
Where Magneto killed 2 mutants, or killed 2 aliens who ended up being Shi'ar. And he's like, there's still a warrant for your arrest. But what they don't acknowledge is that the X-Men are allied with the Shi'ar because they saved the Empress. No one cares.
So many fucking times, over and over.
But he's just using it as an excuse. So they get into a fight, which is excellent because Magneto throws a car at him, and then Nova chops it in half with a chop, and then Magneto just crushes him into 2 pieces. And then Nova comes out. They have this fight. Then Abigail Brand lays down the law and stops the fight, basically. And then later on, the 2 of them talk, and it's so cool.
Wait,
they have this great Magneto and Nova. They work it out. They have this really great story about how like Magneto's like how we started out, what we what we're doing. He's just like, and then Nova's like, he's like, I'm sick of giving villains a pass. And Magneto's like, I understand completely. He's like, you saw your enemy, and he's like, and I fought you too. I saw mine. He's like, I'm willing to start over if you are. And he's basically asking him what's up with Doom and stuff. And they're kind of friends now, which is really cool. Then we cut over to the other team, which is, it's Gamora and Rocket, and I think that's Marvel Boy. But then we cut quickly over to the third team, which is Hercules, Drax, and Mantis. And they are at the big black planet of Ego now.
Oh, okay.
And suddenly, Ego starts hatching.
Oh, shit.
And then the quote is, Ego is gone. His puny shell is mine. A living furnace to house my terrible flame. I am the great enigma, the eater of souls. I am the keeper of the mindless armies. I am the dreadlord of secret fire. Do you recognize this font at all?
Oh, wait. What? Oh, shit.
Dormammu has taken over Ego.
Yeah, holy fuck.
It's now a giant Dormammu head.
Oh my god.
It's Planet Dormammu. And that's the hook to take us into the last Annihilation, the crossover with Guardians of the Galaxy, Sword, and Cable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, cool.
A lot goes on in this one. Really, really good. So, last solo book, Star Wars Darth Vader. I'm literally going to make this very easy on you. Written by Greg Pak, drawn by Rafael Inico, colored by Jason Keith, and lettered by Joe Caramagna. Here's my take. It's very good. If you like the War of the Bounty Hunters, if you're following the rest of it, pick this one up as well. It's the same thing, but from Darth Vader's point of view. I'm not a Darth Vader fan, but it was enjoyable. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving on. let's talk about Heroes Return.
Okay.
So, okay, let's start with the creative team. Written by Jason Aaron, penciled by Ed McGuinness, inked by Mark Morales, colored by Matt Wilson, and lettered by Cordy Petit. So finally, we have the Squadron versus the Avengers. And it was dope.
Yeah.
It's just this dope fight. It's basically the entire issue. And it's great because the first thing you see is Thor fighting Hyperion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, cool. And I just write that off. And then we see Phoenix versus oh my god, I forgot her actual code name. Power Princess, thank you. I was thinking Princess Powerful, and that's Molly from the Runaways. And then we see Spectrum versus Kid Starbrand, who is amazing, by the way. We'll get to that. Then we see the Blur versus Black Panther, and I'm starting to be like, wait a minute, who's Captain America going to fight? We see Blade versus Nighthawk. I'm like, okay, that's the entire squadron. It's because Captain America has a bigger fucking job to do. He's got to take out Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson with a pandemonium cube.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we find out that everything is because of Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson wished all this. I still think he was corrupted somehow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that Phil Coulson just wanted this.
Yeah. But it's a really dope fight, and we find out that Hyperion is weakened, and it's because in this world, vibranium came from his planet being destroyed. That's a great one.
And is radioactive against him, and it could possibly kill him.
It's just a lot of fun. I like that Black Panther and the Blur were fighting, and Blur's like, I'm too fast for you, so Panther literally fucking slices his hamstrings.
Oh, man. all the ligaments in your legs have been severed with one double slice. It's like with one slice with both hands.
Yep.
And oh my god.
He's like, with surgery and rigorous rehab, you should be able to walk again. Like, I was like, good god. Like, and then Kid Starbrand is just amazing. It just wrecks Doc Spectrum. And the line, I thought I told you to cry. So good. Zarda and Phoenix is actually more of a stalemate.
Yeah.
But it is resolved in the end. Blade and Nighthawk ends up winning that fight, kind of. But yeah, basically, in the end, it takes both Phoenix and Starbrand to take her out. And this fucking shot,
dude, that is awesome.
That's sexy as fuck.
It's
like,
so good.
I loved it. So they literally just crush her between two of the most primordial forces in the universe. Like, it's great. And then Thor and Hyperion just keep pummeling each other, basically.
This one hurt. I know it's not the same Hyperion, but there's a fantastic issue where Thor and Hyperion go to the ends of the earth, like before, basically, if before time dies, or what the fuck was it called? Jonathan Hickman's right before Secret Wars 2015, and they both just have a fantastic moment that gets me every fucking time. So seeing them fight right now is just like, no, they're brothers.
And then in an instant, Phil Coulson's defeated, the Pandemonium Cube is destroyed, and the world goes back to normal, kind of. Kid Starbrand is now still Kid Starbrand, not Baby Starbrand as they were beforehand. And it has the attitude of the exact same character that we were just talking about, actually. Hyperion's hovering outside the Daily Bugle. And it implies he's looking for Peter Parker. But the funny part is Peter hated him in the other world. So,
oh my god, yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. They revealed that Blur, Doc Spectrum, and Power Princess are all captured, although Power Princess seems to not really mind. She's just ripping the chains out. And then we found out that Nighthawk is still at large. And he leaves us with the ominous, it wasn't a mistake. It was a world that made sense, and it will be again, even if I have to do it alone.
So it seems like we
should
might
have been
be
the
getting
ending. It could have been the ending, I should say.
Yeah.
But then we get a monologue from Mephisto, who did all this, and it's like, I know what you think about Wall. He failed. He's like, this is about showing you all what can be done with the power of one Mephisto. Now imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, what we could accomplish with 615 more. Hail Mephisto, hail the Council of Red. And then, of course, they do it, but then they have to throw in the fucking the animal morphed Mephisto, the fucking what's it called?
The hamburger.
Not Howard the Duck, the other one. Spider Ham Mephisto. I'm like, of course he's in there. So, yeah, go ahead.
Going backwards, just because like we're at the ending here, this made me once again so fucking pissed about the long lost Ghost Rider series by Ed Bryson. That was just killing it, and would have been a central piece to this future event that we're gonna have. It's so not fair.
Yeah.
Going backwards, there's this one moment where I did fucking love in the fight scene. It's that Carol Danvers decided to run over Coulson with the fucking jet.
Yes, because Danvers is just a pilot in that world.
Yeah,
and she just clips Coulson with her plane. She's like, "Oh, sorry about that." Basically, like,
and I think about the whole Kid Starbrand is that I think before this event they were a baby. And it was like in this time, them growing up with Rocket is what made him a kid. And now that's why they can't. Or Blade is like, I'm not sure if I should tell him the whole truth or not.
Yeah, no one lost time except Starbrand, basically. Yeah, because they were very much a baby in the last crossover, which was the Khonshu one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Now let's move on to a monster book. But man, did I get my feels reading this book.
Honestly, this is such a good one.
It was so well done. Marvel Voices Pride.
What cover did you get?
That was going to say, I changed my mind 3 times. Which one did you get?
It took me a long time to figure out. And also because the America Chavez was gone. That was the most sold out one. But I got this one.
Nice. Of course I got this one.
I considered her, and also, but I got her here already, so it's kind of like I want to showcase more, and also because them two in the middle is what made it for me, and I hate how the MCU just decided to make Okoye straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't really make her straight, did they?
Well, they alluded to her being with the other guy.
She was with him, but I mean,
I guess so, but she should have been with the other one already.
Yeah,
and also just. Love that's like you cannot have this without Hercules. It's like yes, and
just
Herc
fucking posing like a bitch. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I almost bought 2 covers, but then I looked at the price and I'm like, no, don't do that.
Oh hell no.
So, but okay, so Marvel Pride, guys, we are going to take a little time with this one, so forgive us, but we're going to try to go as quickly as possible. I just want to talk about the intro.
You mean the first page where like the DC books had that double page spread to make up room for the characters, but meanwhile the first page has all of these people.
Yeah. So we got this cool intro, basically the history of LGBT characters.
Yes.
In Marvel, and it was so much fun to go through this.
And through Prodigy.
Yeah, and it was done from Prodigy's point of view, which was great. And this kiss, the Shatterstar Richter kiss, that's in the X Factor run we're going to be reading soon.
Excellent.
So, yeah. And just goes through a lot of it. It's really a lot of fun. I really, really dug this intro. And then let's get into it. We get a really great page with the vows of Hulkling and Wiccan.
Oh, so beautiful.
Their vows from their wedding, which was really sweet. We get a story with Nico and Carolina, and I'll never forgive them for pronouncing it Carolina in the show. From Runaways. I don't support this ship, and it's not because I don't support them both being queer. I'm fine with it. I just don't like the two of them together, to be honest with you. Because Runaways from the beginning, I really liked the fact that Carolina's first crush was Nico, and it wasn't reciprocated. Again, I talk about this a lot. I think it's kind of a disservice to LGBT relationships in comics a lot that the first LGBT relationship is always reciprocated. And I don't think that's a complete experience of LGBT life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like part of that is, you're really great, but I don't like, girls.
And in this case, like they were still also just kids. If one of them was just curious enough to figure it out, that's
well.
fine.
No, I get it. I that's a lot of people are always like, well, things change. I'm like, no, I get that. I mean, that's if they were a real person. And I'm like, but we're talking about like creatively. Mm-hmm. I think the more interesting story is if they never actually were together. Plus, Carolina with Zavin was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah,
Zavin
totally.
has been underused. Got a very brief intro.
They do talk about it a little bit in the intro too, they highlight them. Yeah.
Yeah, but Zavin needs to come back.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Yeah. Then we get a story with Elektra and Dr. We were just talking about her, Charlene McGowan. So I think she was the first trans character in Marvel. They
I
talk
believe
about
so.
it later. So, but it's cool. She's basically doing some research to try to make it easier for trans women to transition without having to, making it a big deal.
With pills, yeah.
Yeah. And I really liked the bit where the one guy is like, "Hey, my cousin is trans. Do you know
Oh
her?"
my
And she's
God,
like,
yeah.
"Trans people don't know each other, asshole." And then it's like, "Yeah, they actually know each other." Like, I love that bit. So, that's coincidence, though. And then we get a really cool story with Black Cat, which, God, I just love Black Cat. It's such a great character.
Yeah.
With her and Jessie. Oh my God, what's her last name? Blah. I'm drawing a blank. Damn it. Anyways, she's a really cool LGBT character as well, and they show Jessie Drake. That's her name.
Yeah.
So they kind of like do a reference to that, and they put the end question mark. So maybe this character is going to show up in Black Cat. That'd be really cool.
I was hoping that you were gonna call that out, that she's gonna jump over.
I think that'd be really cool. I really enjoy that. So, and the fact that she's like a empathic ectomorph, that's just a cool power. So
Yeah.
then we get the She-Hulk one. So here's the thing. This one has actually been pretty controversial. I actually like this.
Yeah. Honestly, what was the controversial bit?
There were some people, trans activists, that feel that Marvel did a bait and switch. That they said that She-Hulk is going to be a trans woman, and then revealed in this it's not actually She-Hulk.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't read it that way either. Like, that's not how I read it.
Well, they thought it would be like an alternate version of She-Hulk from another universe or something. But
okay.
I think this is more interesting. So basically, we have She-Hulk, and Titania attacks her, second Titania appearance. And basically, we find out that it's not actually She-Hulk. It's just a cosplayer. But it's a trans cosplayer who's basically always been really big and oversized and never felt comfortable. And cosplaying as She-Hulk is one of the ways they feel comfortable about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a way cooler story than just randomly making She-Hulk trans in some alternate universe.
I mean, honestly, it's like, yeah, I get their point, but now you're also missing the point that you're missing their story, like this person's story, which you're kind of like, it's literally the whole point about hearing this person's story. So it's like, this one was a much more interesting take.
Yeah. And yeah, it was more interesting, and also gave us a human side of Titania, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. So it also featured the number one supervillain in all of comics to me, and that is an asshole Deadpool cosplayer with boundary issues.
Yes.
Because there's one at every comic. No, there's 12 at every Comic-Con, but there's at least one. And thank you, because I love to imagine they beat the crap out of him after that. So thank you for that. Because seriously, if you cosplay as Deadpool and you touch people without their permission, you're not in character, you're an asshole. So next up, Prodigy and Speed.
This one I loved, and
I fucking loved it.
Only because, like, when I was going through like the creative teams, it was the team, and I could not wait what it was going to be about. Kieran Gillen and Jen Hickman. Fuck yes.
It was just great. It basically Prodigy revealing how he knew he was bi.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool thing how every time he saw a Colossus, he's like, And so basically by using his powers to sync up with Kitty Pryde, he realized what she felt is what he felt, and that made him come to understanding. And then his little bit, who knows how many years it could have taken me to figure it out without that moment. And I'm like, yeah, that's really interesting, and it's very true. You know what I mean? Like, some people, it takes their entire lives to come to grips with it. So,
like, I mean, going to the other side, Alan Scott and that whole relationship right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we get a really cool one with Anole and Grey Malkin. We never got to Grey Malkin in our Young X-Men run.
Okay.
He's actually a ancestor of Professor X.
Oh, shit.
Way back in the day, and his powers are basically in darkness. He's completely... The darker it is, the more invulnerable he is.
Okay.
And they find out back in the day that, first of all, he's a mutant, second of all, that he's gay, and they bury him alive. And since it's completely dark, he survives. Mm-hmm. So he's been buried under Xavier's mansion for hundreds of years, basically.
Oh my God, no shit.
So, and then we get a cool Pixie appearance, and then my man Dawkin shows up and is like, yo, Victor, you want to dance? And Victor's like, oh, yes, please. Because I would be too. And then he's like, only a Grey Malkin can dance with us. And then they have fun on the dance floor together. Loved this.
Yeah, it was so fucking sweet. Oh, only because he came in and was like, "Yo, hey, you want to dance?" And and Anole was like, "Hey, I got this to Pixie if you want to go." And that's when he goes, "No, not her." And his little blush. It was so sweet.
Yeah, we didn't really get to the good Anole stuff in the Young X-Men run either.
Yeah.
We should just read that for fun, not for a show.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we get a really cool Iceman story. I've been outspoken by the fact that I never really liked the Iceman coming out because, first of all, I thought Angel would have been a better story personally.
Okay.
He's basically the dream guy, and I like the dream guy being the one. You know what I mean? And also he's rich. You know, it would give him a problem other than he turns blue sometimes.
I was gonna say for the book club show, potential show, I said we should read that Iceman mini it didn't go for that long. It kind of establishes like about him coming out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I read it actually. I've read it before. I just wasn't a big fan of it. Just because we talked about it in the past. It's a totally canon breaking thing, and that just bothers me a little bit and destroys one of my favorite stories ever. So, but anyways, but basically, this is really sweet, and I fucking loved it. Yeah. And I'm way more on board with Iceman being gay now just because of this story.
Well, that's
basically good. Magneto shows up with a bunch of missiles to blow up the school. Sees Iceman crying, and he's like, "Oh, god damn it!" And so he puts the missiles away, sits with him, and comforts him. And I love the line, like, what was it like? Sorry about your missiles. Well, there will be other missiles. I'm like, yeah, there will be. And then he puts on Magneto's hat, and it's great. I loved that. That was absolutely wonderful. So.
Yes.
Then we get a cool North Star and Kyle story, which is cute. I love it because I love your love is so beautiful. Don't be a jerk to people. And I'm like, yeah, because everybody thinks North Star is a jerk, like fans. Like that's one of the reasons when we get into the whole thing about Iceman. Yeah, once again, I love North Star, and people are like, well, yeah, but North Star is a jerk. He doesn't deserve happiness anyways. And I'm like, he's such a great character, you assholes.
Well,
like,
I mean, it has to be because in the opening pages, the man is just too tense. Who flexes that hard in bed?
I know, right? I like his boxers personally.
Oh, totally. Ice Baby with Olaf.
They're so tight. Like his whole ass is hanging out. It's crazy. Then we get a great story about Destiny and Mystique, and that was fun as fuck.
Yeah.
And that was clearly Professor Moriarty, by the way. And so they killed Professor Moriarty. Then we get another story that got a little bit of controversy that I commented on. Karma has a crush on a new mutant character they've introduced. And a lot of people are like, this should have been Danny. She should have just been with Moonstar. And I'm like, why? Like, girls can be friends. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to always be that. And that's not the arc. That's never been their arc. I mean, I get it if that's what you want. And you can be disappointed, and that's fine. But you can't say that it's wrong because it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's kind of what the other side says. Whenever a character comes out as gay and they're like, that's wrong. That's kind of what we're doing when we're saying these characters I like should have been gay together. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong if they're not. And it's like, oh, God. So, but we do get a tease that, so she ends up asking this girl to dance with her. And it does have the conclusion at the beginning. And it does tell us that we're going to see more of that character as time goes by.
That's good.
So then we get a adorable story with Daken.
So good. So fucking good. Yeah. I cannot believe how serious like Marvel is treating this whole Krakoa business.
Yeah. Where Daken met a fellow mutant and Carl Valentino, and they slept together, and they lived out their lives together. They grew old together. And then you find out, no, they didn't. They only had a one-night stand. But Carl's mutant power is that one night can be a lifetime in your head. Yeah.
I mean, the whole time he's telling this to Aurora. So it's kind of like he's telling like a next story to a friend, but it's a very personal one.
Yeah. I thought it was very interesting because Aurora used to be very, very religious.
Okay.
And that was always a point of contention between her and North Star. She was very Catholic.
Oh, okay.
So she had a problem with him being gay, kind of. And so I was wondering if she knows that he's bi, and I was wondering about how that was going. Anyways, so this guy, Carl, who Daken lived out a life with in his head, lived out a life, kind of hid who he was his entire life, and died old. Daken fucking breaks into his coffin, takes some DNA, and has him resurrected. And now, because we've heard this character is coming, but we knew nothing about it, just the name, really. And now, basically, the new character, or the character is like, Carl Valentino lived the hand he was dealt. I'm finally awake, and I'm Somnus.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. It's a cool way to introduce this character.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, oh, why not feature the characters you already have? Because we always introduce new characters. That's how comics works. So, and look for Somnus and Krakoa next year. So we got another tease that's going to happen. And then something I did not expect and something that blew me away. They reprinted the North Star coming out issue of Alpha Flight.
Oh man, wasn't that a treat?
Oh.
And like, because there's a little like a big excerpt like really right in the middle of this issue, kind of like saying like
the timeline
of a bunch of characters coming out, or like, a bunch of issues, like highlighting a bunch of issues, like when it happened, an interview with a former associate, and like I was like working and doing all this work. And then one of these highlights was like the fucking
North Star coming
out. So to get this was an actual real surprise. You're right.
Yeah, I loved it. I remember reading that the first time, and that was
cool.
So cool. So, yeah, but excellent job, Marvel Pride. I have to give it to Marvel Pride over TC Pride, but it's not a competition.
It's not
like give me an Image Pride. Give me a Vault. Well, all of Vault is Vault Pride.
Seriously, just pick up any book. It's fucking a Pride celebration already. It's great. Yeah. I love them.
Just give me all the Pride. Do it every month. Don't do it in June only. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to X books. We got 4 X books. X-Men Legends number 4, written by, I believe it was Louise that wrote this one. Yeah, written by Louise Simonson, my pretend grandmother. Drawn by Walter Simonson, my pretend grandfather. Letter by John Workman and colored by Laura Martin. This is an alternate story in the X Factor universe back when it was the original 5 X-Men, and it was shortly after Cable was born. It was a really interesting era, and it's the era that got me into comics. So I was very excited to read this again. It's a little later in their era because they started on X Factor 1, basically. So, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a lot of references to the way back in the day. So
I guess it's
I could see where some people could get hung up.
It's supposed to be like a connecting issue or something that wasn't completely elaborately told. I guess like in arc that was called like Judgment War, and it's supposed to be like the more detailed way of how they got there instead of like from one issue to another. Because I guess like Judgment War is like a big fucking thing that happens.
It's a story they never got to tell, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Did you see the little excerpt for what's going to happen on the next Legends?
That was announced about a month ago, and I keep meaning to talk to you about it, and I never did.
Ooh.
So we're going back to X Factor, but this time we're going back to Peter David's first run of X Factor. I love it. It's so good.
Do you know what little missing pieces it's alluding to?
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know off the top of my head. I loved the first
something
run.
That wasn't explained to you fully?
No, not really. I think it's just giving Peter David a chance to do something else in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Is really it. So Peter David is the X Factor person if you take out the Simonsons.
Yeah.
Because he did that run and then he did X Factor Investigations. And those 3 are basically the most important runs in X Factor history.
Yeah, it just says returns to place his own missing piece of the puzzle. So something even he doesn't feel like fully, like something didn't really fully get told there.
Yeah, I wouldn't know off the top of my head, to be honest. So, but it's good shit. What do you think?
Honestly, I liked it because again, this is not an era I'm fully like familiar with. It's just like kind of reading like the big books that kind of came out then, like your Days of Futures Past and what have you. So like getting an issue like this, I'm like very grateful for because I never had like my own Louise Simonson book or a Simonson book. So it's kind of like cool. I have this now for myself, even though it's like in a modern day. And so I'm looking out for another big X-Men Essentials volume that has this connecting piece actually into like because it does explicitly say like these are the events right before X Factor 43. And this book I have goes from like 17 to 35. So I do want to get like the next one and read that one with the next one. And then have this one be like a little in between chapters so I can kind of like get the broad scope.
Yeah.
Other than that,
the other thing I really liked is the sound effect for Angel's Wings was Schwang.
Yeah, Schwang.
Best sound effect in comics. So, all right. Now the actual Hellfire Gala, Wolverine number 13. So Wolverine did not have a horizontal cover, but I did get the red carpet one.
I had to go with this one.
I grabbed that and then put it back because I was like, I'm spending too much money.
I said no to that one based on last week's events and the whole thing with Scout, and they had matching outfits, and the fact that variants don't mean anything, you could have had them both right there just so we could have seen it.
Well, if you take all these variants and line them up, it's one long picture. You know that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It was like, so
to have Scout there with that one on that cover in particular, because it'll never happen now with the matching outfits. That's why I went against that one with my boy Akihiro.
Okay, so we got written by Benjamin Percy, penciled by Scott Eaton, inked by Oren Jr., colored by Matt Wilson, and lettered by Corey Petit. We'll try to make this one quick for you guys. It's the Hellfire Gala. We saw what was happening with Tierra Verde, where they're all the plant people, and Beast has basically been controlling them. Well, now he can't. And they basically have to stop them. They're able to, and basically Beast... Beast is unapologetic about being a piece of shit, basically, is what happens.
As always.
And they actually lose the vote, or they lose the Terra Verde support in the end, and have to pay the $1 billion.
Oof.
So it's rough. So Beast basically cost them quite a bit. And it sucks. Also, during this, somebody stole the Marauder ship and burned it outside of Madripoor. So... the question is, will Beast be punished? He should be.
Yeah.
But he probably won't be.
Put him on a timeout from the team and put in Deadpool because he really wants it.
Yeah. I really liked Sage taking control in the end.
Mm-hmm.
How she basically wasn't taking any of Beast shit. She's like, this has gone far enough, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So I love Sage. But great book. Great wrapping up that little side story of the Hellfire Gala. Next up, Way of X, number 3.
Oh, we're going
this way.
We're going out the day after. We're taking the day after. Okay.
Well, because of what happens to the other one. So I got that one. I got that one.
Yes.
And I got that one. So I got them all. Written by Cy Spurrier, drawn by Bob Quinn, colored by Hava Tartaglia, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. Man. So throughout the rest of the books in the Hellfire Gala, we've seen Nightcrawler trashed and bothering people. So that actually goes into first-person view for the party for him, which is a lot of fun.
Did you notice a celebrity on that page?
Which one?
The bald guy.
Oh, Paul Scheer?
Paul Scheer.
Yeah. I didn't know. Well, right above him is Rafi.
Oh, yeah, it is Jason Mantzoukas. Holy shit.
Yeah. The whole league is there. But yeah, he basically he's still working with the same group of people, including Legion, Dr. Nemesis, the same whole group. And we find out that Loa and Mercury had an encounter.
Oh.
And Loa's powers went out of control, and she's obviously very upset about it.
Yeah.
She's got this really haunted look in her face.
Yeah.
She accidentally shredded part of Mercury's arm. Luckily, Mercury's Mercury, so she can honestly just reattach it. It's not hard. But basically, like, they're trying to find out a way to be intimate without killing each other. And Legion is like, they were like, Legion, you and Destiny used to do that, right? And Legion's like, yeah, I got you. Let's do this. So I'll continue with this story, and then we'll jump back to the other one. We'll do this one first.
Okay.
So he puts them in their own heads, and they immediately start sharing every secret they've ever had.
Yeah.
And some of the darkest shit in the world, right? And it's too much. And they basically don't even want to look at each other afterwards. Mm-hmm. And it was really sad because I love both of those characters.
Yeah, honestly, me too. I was really starting to ship them.
I don't know about that.
I just love them both. I mean, I love Mercury, and like, why not Loa?
I do too. Yeah. And then the other story we got going on is Nightcrawler running into Stacy X of all people.
Yeah.
Wow. What a throwback. And Stacy X is basically explained to him because her powers are like pheromone control. Mm-hmm. Then she was actually a former prostitute, was her story. She worked at a place called Something X, and it was like a superpowered like brothel, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, now she has this place on Krakoa, and that's what Nightcrawler thinks this is a brothel, but it's not. And I like that she punches him straight in the face as soon as he like like tries to be condescending about that. I really don't doubt that. So, but she basically reveals like this is where people go to connect, and sometimes they need that. And then she reveals all these mutant babies because these mutant babies are getting born, and they're just getting abandoned, and they're just here. No one takes care of them, and so she's helping to take care of them. And I like her point is like whole population of Beachbody supers on eternal spring break, no STIs, no strings attached. You want people to make more mutants? Here they are.
Yeah.
And why would they stick with the kids? Let's go party. Let's go to the Green Lagoon and drink. And I like how we're starting to get the reality of Krakoa in this book a lot. So, yeah. And then Lost shows up, the character Lost, and she seems to be the one that takes care of the babies the most, and that's really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to see Fabian Cortez get dropped on his ass.
Of all people, this is a zero kink shaming show, but of all people who deserve to be kink shamed,
yeah, where he basically wanted his date to wear Magneto's helmet
as he recited poems to it.
Just fucking hell, man! God, I hate Cortez so much.
He's so bad.
And then, they show up. Also, other thing to point out, the Zorns are bombing around with Legion the entire time, which I thought was great, too.
Yeah.
We also, earlier on in the issue, see Dr. Nemesis smart off to Dazzler again, which brings us to our conclusion, where Stacey X is trying to teach about, connections and giving people a chance and stuff. And she throws a little char of darkness Dr. Nemesis's way. And he walks up to Dazzler, he apologizes, and they have a dance together.
Yeah. It was actually really
I
sweet.
ship it. I will just fucking say it. I'll ship it. That's adorable.
Hell no. Too gross. Nemesis, get the fuck out of here.
But yeah, good stuff. I enjoyed that. I'm so excited to see where Wave X is going. It's so philosophical and fucked up. And
hell yeah. Because the whole point of this book was about, at least his first mission, or the first law, make more mutants. And he literally went through the whole process of how, or in this case, why, or how do we go after the why? And yeah, you have the whole the whole safe space, which is great for mutants and everybody to do their thing. But then there's the next responsibility, and it's cool. You want your make more mutants? Here they are. But what's after this? And I love the point when she called out Lost. It's of all people who deserve to fucking party and be in there and in those spaces, it's them. But all they care about is actually taking care of these babies. And I was you want to make more mutants? The reproduction part will take care of its own. But in this case, and I love how it just branches out after that. It's a fantastic book. Yeah,
it's great. I love it. So, we'll finish this off with Swixerd Sword number 6. So, creative team is written by Al Ewing, drawn by Valeria Shiti, colored by Marte Gracia, and lettered by Ariana Mayer. So, I got this cover. I got this cover. And of course, I got this cover.
Nice.
Now you're asking, why is Storm on the cover of Sword? Yeah. We'll get to that, listener. So, I get this book, Josue. Okay, so I got this book, right? I sit here, I open it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a great first page.
Just knocks me on my ass, first page.
Yeah.
Just wonderful. So basically, this is the after effects of what happened at the gala. And it's Captain America. He's talking to Dr. Doom about what happened. And, it's really interesting. One thing I like on this character page, they gave them the colors of their departments, just like on the Sword. The Sword organization thing. Because usually they don't do that, which is kind of cool.
Right.
And we see basically the Sword portion of this, which is them basically being like, hey, we fucking colonized Mars. We made a second base. And we called all these, people together from all these different kingdoms in the galaxy. And look what we did. And the other people are like, so fucking what? We're spacefaring, people. We don't give a shit. And basically they're like, yeah, you'll give a shit now. And they basically produce a metal that they can make as much of as they want of that is just as good as secondary adamantium.
Yeah.
And 100% conducts electricity, but doesn't conduct heat. It's basically going to change everything. And that's their way of buying their way in. And they're like, we'll give this to you as long as you ally with us. And so the groups they get is the Galactic Grim Collective, the Great Chimelia, which is the pony people from Power Pack. And once again, Power Pack is relevant, and I love it. House of Rigel. And then the Zernix Empire, which is also from Power Pack. But they're already allies of Krakoa because Krakoa helped decide who was the new leader in the Snark War.
Okay.
And then, like, past issues of Sword. The Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, which, to be frank, fuck him. So the Kree Skrull Alliance, Shi'ar Empire, Astrologers of Spartax, that's what Peter Quill represents, Utopian Kree, Novar, and Nova representing Earth. So basically, in the end, everybody except for the Wakandans accept. And they give them that information. Also, can I just say, Abigail Brand as a pirate? I'm here for it.
Oh, fuck yeah. Well, she gave me...
Great.
When she just popped up, like, in her suit, and, like, her and her fucking station, like, honestly, I want to believe, I have to believe that this was a Gurren Lagann reference. They were literally space pirates, and it's like, it's so fucking
I was
anime.
hoping it was a Starjammers reference myself, but okay.
Oh, no, just, like, for an anime call out, like, it's just, like, it has to be Gurren Lagann. It's just, like, there are just some points in the future aspect.
Yeah. I mean, everybody looks great.
Yeah.
Your boy looks tasty. Is what I'll say. Like, he's got that open shirt. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So basically, the deal with the other groups is you will acknowledge Mars as the capital of the solar system. Mm-hmm. And if you have any business, you'll come to Mars, not to Earth. And Doom is just like, Doom shows up and he's like, why wasn't I invited? And they're like, because you're fucking Dr. Doom. And he's just like, I know what you're saying, there's got to be one person in charge of all this, who rules your new planet? Tell me his name. Who is the king of Mars? Who would speak for Saul? And we get Victor, you know my name. You have all heard it whispered. It is Wind Rider. It is she who swam with Akanti. It is Hadari Yao. I am Storm, Regent of Mars. I am the voice of Saul. Fuck yes. This is coming from somebody who is not a Storm fan. Fuck yes.
I had this stupid biggest grin on my face on this page. Like, oh my god. Because, like, me and the ever fabulous Nick over at Books of Pictures constantly talk about Storm and, like, what is going to happen with her in these books. Like, the whole thing with during Marauders and, like, how ominous it was of her leaving, or was it the book ending? It's like, what are the set plans with her? And now we know. And it is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah. In most books, that would be the coolest thing that happens. But then we turn the page.
Oh.
And Magneto's sitting there drinking to his own helmet.
Yes.
And in walks Wanda, the Pretender.
Yeah.
And she's like, I couldn't go out there. I couldn't face them. Not after everything I did. And she's like,
it would have been too hard.
Yeah. And he talks about his daughter, the one he lost, the human one.
Anya.
Yeah. And he's just like, I find myself the great mutant hero. I run our systems, govern our society, help build the world today, and I was happy for the children. But then I thought of my children and how I'd failed them, all of them. And she's like, I'm not really here. He's like, I know, but sometimes what is real is not the same as what is true. Sometimes it takes two to pretend. You are my daughter, Wanda. You will always be my daughter, and I will do what I must to make things right. Fucking broke me, Josue. I was fucking in tears.
I needed a scene like this as well. I mean, don't get me you're right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like the whole Storm reveal was awesome. Was like the cool fucking factor, the awesome moment of this book. But this scene was very much needed. It was a long time coming.
It was fucking great. I loved it. Like, finally going to get some Wanda redemption. And then that's going to bring him into conflict with Exodus, which was his biggest follower. And it's going to be really interesting.
And that's what I liked about, like with the Nexus Way of X, because, like, you see, like, him shit-faced, but then, like, they're still just dancing.
Yeah.
It's such a great scene.
So good.
No, it was a fantastic issue. Sword 5 said it was going to promise some stuff, and holy fuck did it deliver. It was just... Yeah. It was just great.
It was the most important story besides Planet Size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I am tapping out, Josue. I am exhausted. Anything else to bring up before we go?
I just wanted a few closing thoughts. I did watch a podcast. Like, Ryan Stegman, the comic artist, has a podcast. And I had to see it just because Johnny Cates was on there, and they were going to talk about the final issue 200, and just like two things, and also because they were going to reveal something else at the end.
They announced their new project.
They announced a new project. I'll open with that one and go. It's called Vanish, and that's the only thing they were able to release on it, and also how it looks like. They didn't say who's going to publish it. I'm really hoping it looks very imagey, but it's cool because like Donnie was like expressing that it's leaving Stegman, who has such a McFarlane style, and now going into working with and now doing this one. It just feels like such a not with Vanish, but then he connected it to his Hulk book and working with Ryan Ottley, and now the whole history with Stegman being a McFarlane style, and now jumping over with Ottley, who is a very Eric Larson style, and it's hitting a bunch of buttons for him, and he's just so fucking excited.
Those early image feels,
But the other thing that something that he dropped was that before pre Venom. There was like a conference at a con or whatever, and that Donnie was actually part of a quote unquote a bake-off, a Marvel bake-off. And apparently when that usually means that they'll think of a handful of writers and they'll say like, hey, what's your idea for Hulk? And basically best idea wins. And they kind of let them know that, so like they know that they're kind of competing for the spot. And apparently for this thing, it was for Hulk. And when he was approached for it, and he gave his idea, Marvel said it was too weird to do, and he was the runner up. This is when it went to Al Ewing doing Immortal Hulk, which is nothing but a basket case full of fucking weirdness. And now he's following up with this original idea that he had. So it's like, oh shit, that is really fucking cool. And now they're literally doing the whole swapping books. That literally happened on the spot when they were going back and forth with their Venom book and their Hulk book and what they would like to do. They literally thought like, oh shit, let's just swap seats. And they went to go find CB, I think Bradford, right, an editor, and just to call dibs on it. And that's pretty much how it ended up swapping seat things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was really cool.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, as always. I'm going to wrap this up quick because it's our longest episode ever. Woo! So you can check us out at Geek Elite Media, as well as geekelitemedia.com. You can find the show at WHI Podcast on Twitter. You can find me, WHI Podcast Keith, our producer Liz at WHI Podcast Liz, and Josue at Josue Reads Josue. Make sure to check out our sister show, which is the Jukebox Vertigo, hosted by our very own Josue. And we are going to have a new episode up this next week, and it's going to be so the blank, whatever that is going to be. And our guest will be our friend Steven, Peppermint Gentleman himself, and probably the return of our friend Crozen, hopefully. Also check out Crozen's new podcast that we participate in as well, called Podcast Ultra. You can check that out at ultra_pod, bi-weekly video game podcast. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And do not forget to always geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.